Summon Sign is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello everyone, welcome to Summon Sign, Last Stand Media's weekly in-depth gaming discussion podcast. I'm your host, as always, Brad Ellis, and joining me this week is Chris Raygun.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Oh, just so everyone knows, we'd filmed for like 30 minutes, and I fucked it up and forgot to hit record on Zencaster. We have local audio going, so maybe we can throw that in as bonus fun at the end or something. We'll see what Dustin can figure out. So we've done all this shit again, and everyone's being cool about it. So here we go. We got Chris Raygun, Lockmort, back in. Nice wave. Say hello to the people.
Oh, hello. Do I have to repeat what I said earlier?
No. Just say a word
okay.
so audio listeners know you exist.
Oh, okay. I'm here. I'm here too. Hello.
And Jimmy Champane, special guest,
Hello.
Legend.
Happy to be here.
YouTuber. 3 YouTube channels, you're telling me. Busy man. And with a lot of cool heads in his background. Ghostface, Boba Fett.
Screen used Michael Myers mask. Pretty cool.
Wow, really?
Yeah, from Halloween Kills.
Damn.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
That made the 250 videos I made about that trilogy worth it. It's like, yes.
Did you have to buy it, or did they just give it to you?
Can't talk about how I got it.
Okay. All right.
Someone on the movie liked my channel and was just extremely generous.
Oh,
that's very nice.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, we had a little stuff at the beginning. I'm gonna throw that in at the end of the episode. Probably I'll rework it so they'll be surprised still. But we're just gonna get right into the first game for now, which is Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'll talk a little about Rebirth after. But Jimmy, you just finished Remake last night, 2 a.m. big gaming sesh.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
This game is awesome. Started a little slow. I have history with the franchise, right? Like, I saw Advent Children. I put hundreds of hours into Crisis Core as a kid. That's like my most prized UMD. I love the world, but I had never really experienced the original game. And so when the remake came out, I was like, great, I can finally get into it. I picked it up, put it down so many times. And then this time in January, I was like, okay, I'm committing. I know I'm going to like it if I just get through the like extremely long sort of tutorial stuff where it's like you've got all the basic attacks. It's like explaining how the sphere grid works and everything. Like once I push through that, I'll be good. I was right. Once I hit chapter 9, the game just like immediately picked up story-wise and gameplay-wise, and man, it's so good. Like the way the story is just like this perfect rise to like this actual climax is crazy. Cause the whole time I'm reminding myself that this is just the intro, I guess, of the original game. And I was not expecting them to be able to make that feel like a complete like 3x structure and have it pay off. But like they totally did. They nailed it. And even watching character growth, the fact that this is just the intro of the game, like I went from, being annoyed that Cloud isn't, trying to make friends or open up to like loving him at the end of the game, just like new respect for Barrett and his like knowledge of the world. And Aerith, I understand why she's like so depressed, and Tifa's, grappling with, the stuff that Avalanche is doing and like where's the line and everything. Like these characters are so fleshed out. It reminds me of playing Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 in the sense that like the cutscenes are extremely long, but you love every second of it and you want more. Only thing I don't like, is a lot of the like padding type stuff. The side quests feel ridiculous at a certain point. I did them all. I've done like everything in this game. And, the running back and forth, doing the sewers twice, Wall Market area, the like Chapter 5 or Sector 5 slums, that area's just ridiculous how much running you have to do. And then there's one reactor where I just felt like it was so egregious when you're moving the platforms and stuff. And it's like 8 seconds to pull those levers and everything. But those are just like few and far between low points on a game where the rest of it was extremely high. And I think the thing that it does the best is it gives you like the ability to say, oh, I just want the story. You set the combat to easy. You're just flying through it. You feel totally badass. But if you want that like deeper combat where you're giving everyone a specialized build, you're trying to get the linked materia, you're trying to get the best weapons, like it goes as deep as you really want it to. So I took this game that could have been like 25 or 30 hours to like a 50-hour saga that ended up being really good. And it seems like all of my complaints about it being kind of like super linear and like segmented and weird are addressed in Rebirth. So that kind of pushed me through this time. Yeah. Like in the intro sections where I was feeling like it was a little bit of a slog, but like I loved it.
Yeah. Rebirth is very much an open world game. Very much.
I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. It makes sense for remake because it is Midgar, and Midgar in the original is a very compact, almost claustrophobic zone in the game. You know, you can't really go anywhere else when you're there, but eventually you get out of there, then the whole world opens up, and you get that kind of feeling again in Rebirth, which is awesome. I'm gonna allow spoilers right here for this because Locke, you finished this also, right?
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the ending?
I thought it was really cool. I haven't played the original. I am playing the original now. My ritual every morning is I walk like an hour at 10 incline. And so I've been playing a lot of shitty mobile games, but you can get the original Final Fantasy VII on your iPhone. So I've been playing through it. And you're right. It is like they opened it up a lot in Remake, but it still feels segmented, but it's like totally different. But yeah, I know what happens in the original game just from, you know, having so many friends who had PlayStations and like loved it. But I like the changes. I think it's kind of cool and interesting. I'm sure it would either be really annoying or hit harder depending on how you like feel about them changing stuff, but like with context of the original game. But just the way the cutscenes and everything play out in the final battle with, we're spoiling, right?
Yeah, you could spoil.
With like Sephiroth, like fighting him is so fucking cool. He's like one of the coolest characters ever. And I've always like had this reverence for him, not really having context for him. And now I have the context, so I don't feel like a fake fan anymore, you know? Like I feel like I could finally buy a figure to put on my shelf, and I've never felt that way. But yeah, he's so fucking cool. I love his ridiculous sword.
Yeah, it's good. Locke, how'd you feel about the ending, man?
Well, I'm so glad that I had the ability to edit a couple of videos about Final Fantasy before I got to the ending, because when I think if I got to the ending without having played 7, I wouldn't have understood much of it. So I really do get why people, I think Colin said it a couple of weeks ago, and he was very adamant about that. You have to play the original. But I kind of agree, because I think if you don't, or if you don't know the original story, the ending of this possibly doesn't hit as hard as it should. But it did for me, because I edited those videos and I watched a lot of walkthroughs. So yeah, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was fantastic. Like Jimmy said, that final battle was so much fun, and the cutscenes there with like the what are they called? The not the spirits, but what are they called again?
The whispers.
The whispers.
The whispers. Yeah. So cool, so amazing. And I got very lucky, because the second I finished it, I could jump right into Rebirth. So there wasn't any delay for me. I could just jump into the next one.
What was the reaction for both of you when Jesse died?
Oh my God, I was so bummed.
That was horrible.
I'm like at the point where the game ends in the original now on my little iPhone playthrough. And so I get what's going on, but like Jessie is such a better character in Remake. So they make you really like her. And then I know this is mean, but I was like, Wedge gets to live. Like, come on.
Fucking Wedge.
Come on. Like, I like Biggs and Jesse infinitely more than him.
Yes.
Biggs they made really cool too, but yeah, Jesse is like awesome.
And they made it really emotional too.
Yeah.
They did a really great job with character development on her, especially. Because I think in the original, she didn't really do much, right?
They're barely in the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. Does she have like the stuff with her dad? Does that also happen in the first one or not?
No.
That's so cool, because that really got to me personally. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, they were very minor characters.
That was one of my favorite parts of that game, I think. Of what I played was that section with Jesse's dad. I really like that.
Oh yeah, dude, getting pizza with her mom and stuff, and just robbing her sick dad.
That's a section that people bring up not really liking, and I love
that section.
Blown away every time. I'm like, I get it. It's like all forced story, but like That's like some of the best storytelling in the game, and it makes your death hit a lot harder later on. Like, I loved it. I thought that was great.
How far did you get, Chris, in Remake?
Oh my god, dude! Not as far as I would have liked.
Oh, okay.
But I think there's parts of that game. I don't know, man. It's really, JRPGs are so antithetical to a lot of why I play games. So like, in order for the fact that I got as far as I did in Remake at all is really a testament to its quality. But there are just these padding sections that I don't know if it's ADD or what, but like I do not have the capacity to deal with like, use your assess materia to fucking help me out. help me analyze. And it's like, why am I finding cats? I don't know. Like there's certain parts of it where I'm just like, I wish it was all the parts of it that are really, really engrossing to me. I felt kind of the same way about Final Fantasy 16 as well, where there are parts of it where I'm like, wow, I'm so into this. And then it grinds to a halt. I kind of talked about it on Sacred Symbols about how sometimes these games feel a little bit like playing through several seasons of a TV show where there are different arcs to each season. And usually the first season is the one I'm very, very invested in. And then it just sort of, the climax of that season kind of resolves only 20% of the way through the game. And then it kind of starts building up to a new climax. And I'm just like, I'm not really that in, like in Final Fantasy 16, it was when you started, it was when that, you found that underground city or whatever, and you started having to meet the locals or whatever. I'm just like, I don't really.
That's exactly where I stopped playing.
That's
I was like,
exactly where I stopped too. Yeah.
And there was so much momentum going up to that. I was like, I'm into this. This is sick. And then it's just like, collect dirt. And I'm like, I'm like, dude, you don't have to do this. Like, I feel like there are so many games, and to be fair, even Final Fantasy VII and Remake and I know they're great, but I feel like they could be better if they were just a little bit more lean. Like I and I'm feeling this a lot as I'm diving into some older games lately, as I don't know, like there's something about. Like I definitely want to get into Rebirth, especially now that I hear that it's good. So I want to go ahead and finish Remake, and jump into Rebirth now that there's not going to be a delay. And I don't know, man. I was concerned about Rebirth, to be honest, and the entire Final Fantasy VII Remake experiment.
Yeah, how could you not be?
Because I was just like, there's no. When Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, I was like, I don't think they're going to finish this. Like I had this really strong feeling, like I don't even know if they're going to get to the end of this, based on like what they've told so far and like the trajectory of it and how long the dev cycle has been. But it seems like they're on track to doing pretty well. So yeah, I'll definitely give it another go, especially because I really do like Final Fantasy VII. I just have to get through some of my minor sticking points, but yeah, I do wish there was a little bit more restraint sometimes with these side activities that don't really feel worth it.
I will say Rebirth is much better about a lot of that, Chris. There's way more content you can do, like side stuff. And if you do all the side stuff, it can feel kind of like burnout, I guess, if you do it all at one time. But if you're like, hey, I just want to stick with the story, I don't think you'll have that problem, really.
That's good. Yeah, I am definitely a mainliner with those games. I only have so much time. I'm not like the busiest person in the world, but like even just standard busy feels like a lot to, 70 hours on on an RPG feels like a lot,
Yeah. Well, Locke and Jimmy, I'm really glad to hear you guys enjoyed the ending. I remember when I was reviewing that game, I beat it, and I was like, whoa, dude, I loved that ending. But a lot of people are going to hate this fucking game, dude. That's exactly what I was thinking about. And it kind of was like that when it came out, but most people seem to be okay with it, I would say. At least now. Yeah. People were kind of unanimous on the game being really good. So
were people upset that it didn't fall, that it wasn't really a remake?
Yeah.
There are definitely purists.
Yeah, there are purists for sure. Absolutely.
Shouldn't they be happy that they're getting a sequel then? Because it kind of is a
probably.
sequel.
I don't know. I don't know where they stand now, but they were upset at the time. The things were different.
They got Ever Crisis on their phone. They can play.
Yeah, you can play Ever Crisis on your
PS1
phone.
remake. Yeah.
Yeah, hooray. But I've been playing Rebirth. I am 50 hours in. No end in sight. I'm doing everything in the game though, like everything. and there is a fuck ton to do in this game if you want to. Whole card game system, Queen's Blood. I'm addicted to it. It's like the version of Gwent. I'm just, I duel everyone that I get the chance to. I take them all out, and some of them are like really funny characters. Like one of them was a dog who's just trying to be a pro Queen's Blood player.
Can he talk, or is he just like a dog?
He has like a kid he barks at, and the kid translates for him.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, you're playing cards against a dog. I'm like, okay, this is good already. Stuff like that. There's another mini game called Fort Condor, which is like an auto rush kind of game where you just like place down units, built off the mini game from the original 7 Fort Condor. That's fucking sick. There's like little mini games everywhere you go in this game. Go to like the Costa del Sol, you're shooting. They have like little like shooting galleries and stuff like that. There's one where you can play like Rocket League essentially as one of the characters, hitting balls into different goals. And I'm just like blown away with how much stuff they've thrown in this. And I'm not even talking about Gold Saucer, which is an actual amusement park they have with a ton of shit in there. It's fucking wild. The combat, guys, so if you played Remake, the combat is just so much more well executed this time around too. I thought it was really good in Remake.
Like, do they expand on it or completely change it?
They expand upon it. So everyone movement wise just feels way better. Dodging itself feels way more valuable, I would say. Like I feel like I can get away a lot more with dodging stuff in this version. Yeah. They've kind of tweaked some of the characters to like Barrett, I think, is a little better in this game and more fun too. Also, same with Aerith. They gave her some more fun stuff. So I'm really happy about that. They added these new things called synergy abilities, which are basically you hold down the R1 button and you have these commands you could do with another party member. You could do them whenever you want. So like one of them is Cloud and Tifa. You can launch Tifa up in the air with Cloud and she can like get in the air to hit guys easier and stuff like that. And Cloud himself he has ranged attacks now just with his sword. And he himself can get up into the air and just attack way easier. Because air combat in the first game was kind of rough in a lot of ways. Yeah. So they've remedied a lot of that kind of good stuff. And there's also like dual limit breaks now you can do with people. So like if you guys both use a certain amount of ATB gauges, you'll be able to do attacks together. Like one of them is really awesome. This character, Kate Sith, he's like a giant Moogle, a giant one with a cat that rides on him. He like picks up Cloud rides on top of him, and Cloud gives him the Buster Sword, and he just goes to fucking town on guys like this. It's like the craziest flashes, Avon Children action that I am there for. It's fantastic.
Is that that cartoon Garfield looking fucking thing?
Yes.
That was probably the most jarring thing I think I've ever seen, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Like in comparison to the world that is around it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man, he's like a robot cat, essentially. Yeah,
I love the thing where you can like map. You know how in the Remake, I learned this in chapter 16, which fucking sucks because it like fixed the game for me. You can map commands to like the face buttons when you hold L, like the left bumper, and like quick use them. Does it still do that, or do you have to do the whole?
No, you can map buttons still.
Because that like it felt so slow the whole game when I was just using the tactical mode, and I was like, I wish I could just quick cast. And then I was on YouTube looking up how to do a side quest, and some guy was like, "Oh, by the way, if you go to battle settings, you can like map everything for everyone." And I was like, "Awesome,
yeah,
that's cool.
You can do that."
Well, you can also pull the camera back further away, which really helped me to get like a better oversight of the combat. So it moves much faster, right? Like you can you can see much more. So you can see the movement is also, I don't know if this is true, but it feels that way to me. Like the movement is much faster. Like I can parry pretty well.
Yeah.
Now.
Wait, are you playing Rebirth now?
Yeah, I'm like 12 hours in.
Did you beat Crisis Core?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Well, hold on. I didn't even know you were playing Rebirth. I forgot. Get your impressions first, though. Let's hear it from you.
About Rebirth?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm 12 hours in, but I'm doing it like you, and I'm playing it apparently very slow because I'm still in chapter 2. So I'm doing everything on the open world, and I adore it. I fucking love it. But that's mostly because I haven't played a Ubisoft game in like a year or so, I think. Because the open world is very...
they were inspired by Horizon and The Witcher 3.
Yeah, but
For
in a
Delta
good
World.
way, I think. I think
Yeah.
they're doing it in a good way because I'm having so much fun just doing the little exploration things where,
Mhm.
like, that little bastard Chadley gives you
Chadley,
like a
yes.
fucking
I hate
monster,
him.
constantly interrupts everything. But he gives you like these little combat sequences you have to complete, which are really fun.
Mhm.
And then you have to like complete the towers, which are really fun, and like those 3 bandits or 4 bandits you keep finding everywhere are
Yeah.
really fun. So everything about it, I adore it, man. It's so much fun. It reminds me a lot about. This is gonna sound really weird, but it reminds me of Skyrim a little,
Mhm.
where you constantly discover like new things or like new areas, and then there's been so many times where I've thought I explored everything, and then you find another tower, and there's like more dots you can explore. So no, it's very different than Remake, I think, but I think it for some reason it really hits the right notes for me. It's amazing.
That's good. Yeah. You brought up those bandits quests, which is cool. Every region kind of has their own quest line like that. So the bandits are specifically for that zone. As you get to new ones, there'll be new quests tied around that. So
Yeah,
that
that's
helps
cool.
keep it fresh because, of course, you're still going to be doing the traditional, like, go to this spring or whatever, scan the spring, stuff like that. There's some that carry over, but they do add new ones in every now and then. And the chocobos change as you go to different regions. They get new abilities. So that helps
okay.
with like traversal and all that
Cool.
good stuff.
Yeah, that's also fun that your chocobo can like smell stuff, and then you go there and you have to get it out of the ground. I love that weird little
Yeah, a little
quirky
mini
stuff.
game. Yeah.
And those little I mean, I guess baby chocobos or whatever
Yeah.
they're called. They're
Yeah.
extremely cute. Like I can't resist them. So they're
Yeah.
there. Every time I see one, I have to pet it. I have to get off
Oh,
and
yeah.
pet it. So
awesome.
that's really cool. Yeah, they did an amazing job.
Mhm.
I saw a lot of people complain about the graphics, like that it's blurry because I play on performance, but I know there's something wrong with my eyes because I see it, but it doesn't really bother me. And normally it should because it bothered me a lot in Final Fantasy 16.
Mhm.
But here I don't really notice it, so maybe they did something to it, or maybe I'm just getting way too old now. I don't.
It runs much better than 16 did in performance
Yeah.
mode, much more consistently. It's like stable
Yeah.
60 frames pretty much the whole time. 16 was not. It dipped
No.
frequently.
Yeah.
Even on
Like,
quality
yeah.
mode, it would
Yeah.
dip.
Yeah, even on quality mode. But yeah, Glock, I play in performance mode because I will take 60 frames over a visual
Yeah, me
hit
too.
any day, especially the game when the combat's like going in and so fast.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna patch it too to make it a little nicer, but I'm just happy there's the option there. I'd
Yeah.
rather them have the option than not instead of just because like it does look nice in 4K 30, but I want that 60, dude. So I'm glad they put that in there. And it runs
Yeah, I
better.
get why people complain because I
Mhm.
think if that's important to you, like if graphics are more important than frames, then they should be up to date. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just talk about some really early moments in the game that I was really impressed with. Locke, you're probably pretty close to it. Is Junon, the big city, and one of the big things there is the parade early on in the game. So in the first game, it was very kind of small. You're doing brief like gun salutes and all that parade stuff is very small. But in this one, you somehow get thrown in as being like the leader of this squad. So you're having to round up all your members throughout town. Some of them are at shops like buying models and stuff like that, or just at a bar drinking. Then you have to do a whole sequence, like long sequence of you being their leader, doing those crazy mini games. The mini game was like the Honeybee Inn one with like the buttons kind of flashing by and stuff like you have to click at a certain time. But the sequence is just drawn out. It's so over the top as it should be. It's perfect. And later on, these guys like love you as their commander, so they like want to go everywhere with you. It's so good, man. But I don't want to spoil too much stuff like story. It's been up for a couple weeks, but I'll just say later on down the line too, some more chocobos you get are really fun. One you can like ride, jump off mushrooms to get like crazy air, really dive through regions. And the black one is very soon for you, where you can like climb up walls. So it's been good. Like me just playing through this game has been like Christmas fucking morning. Every time I'm playing this game, I'm just so goddamn happy. Everything is going my way. I'm just loving it. I'm curious to see how it ends. There's a lot of side quests, and I feel like you can get burnt out if you do them all at one time. But if people are worried about that, just sprinkle them throughout your playthrough. Don't do them all at once.
Does it do the same thing as Remake? Like, does it, or maybe you can't say this. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but does it change stuff again, or is it more like an
not like that I'm aware of. Not so much
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Like I've been able to return to places. I'll say
Okay.
if I miss something.
Oh, that's one more thing. Maybe I thought the first 2 hours were downright fantastic, amazing. Like
the flashback.
Yeah, because earlier you asked if I played Crisis Core, and I didn't, but I know what happens in Crisis Core because I edited all those videos. That really got me. That really got me good because I didn't know what was going on, but I think that was the intention. Right?
Yes, that is the intention.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great job.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Rebirth so far excellent, very superior to me in to Remake for right now. Remake feels like a nice start, a nice blueprint, and it feels like they just went kind of ape shit with this one. It's better in nearly every way, in my opinion, right now. So I'm very excited to finish this game. This game's like 100 hours, I think, or something crazy. So strap in. It's going to be a long one, but it's been a hell of a ride. I'm enjoying it so much.
Nice.
Jimmy, you're going to do Crisis Core, right? Then hop in.
Yeah, I played Crisis Core so many times though.
Okay.
Like, you know, so I might
You'd probably be all right.
just gonna download the demo probably tonight and start it up, play through that. I've got the context for it. So like I'm going on a trip this weekend, so Crisis Core is going to be my like trip game, and then I just want to get right into Rebirth because it just sounds so good. Like everything you're saying makes it sound so much better to me. And I already really liked Remake, so like I'm going to love Rebirth.
Just a fair warning with the demo. So the demo is early on in the game. It's not the very beginning of the game.
Oh, so maybe I'll just buy it.
And it kind of makes you replace some of it. So
Okay,
I would just say just buy it and start it normally. That'd be my advice.
I'm going to get it anyway, you know?
Yeah, like if you're in that camp, I would say just fucking buy it, man.
Cool.
All right, we got some write-ins about this. Ryan H. wrote in, "Hey, Summon Sign crew. Currently playing through FF7 Rebirth and loving it. But I'm currently having the issue of balancing side content and main missions. I find that I'm really enjoying the payoff of side content, but I also find that it can disrupt the pace of the main game if you try to do everything in the area repeatedly before progressing. How have you guys balanced this? And critically, how much responsibility do you think a developer has in fine-tuning this pacing of an open world game?" So I just do whatever I feel like when I'm playing it. Then I'll go do a main story thing. Then when I know it's like, hey, time to leave this area, then I will wrap everything up. But you can go back to a lot of areas, so I don't think it's like no big sweat if you miss some of the things. In terms of a dev's responsibility, fine-tuning this pacing of open world game, I think that is an interesting idea to bring up because I assume they are playtesting these games and seeing what players do. So I guess it's just their philosophy. If they're just fine with players getting lost and doing random shit for like 8 hours, then I don't see the problem with that. I can understand the frustration of some people like Colin Murray. You know, he sees an open world. He's got to fucking do everything like that. He has no self-control. He can't move on. And I understand that's a problem, but I don't know. I think if you're just like burnt out, you just got to stop yourself. Just come back later, man. Just take a stand. Do something else. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because Colin always brings up where it's like, well, if I'm not going to do everything, then I haven't seen the game.
That's
and it's just like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Like the whole point of the game is for you to enjoy it. And if you see something, there are going to be certain side activities that are tailored to certain players and certain side activities that are going to be tailored to other players. And if it would make the most sense for the player to kind of weigh those options themselves, and not to say that the player is necessarily in control of whether or not they enjoy the experience. I mean, obviously a lot of it does come down to like dev work, and the dev should be responsible enough to balance it in a way that makes sense or spread things out in a way that makes sense and all that stuff. But, you know, you don't have to play Gwent in Witcher, and I certainly never did.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And it didn't hurt my experience of that game not having to play Gwent. You know, like I don't know. I feel like there's a certain level of player responsibility there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, the game that broke me on this, I used to be like Colin, where I was like, oh, I paid $60 for the game. I got to get my money's worth. And then I did the whole quest chain in Cyberpunk when it launched, where you're doing the cyber psychos. And then somehow I missed this news story that there's no reward for it because it was bugged and the last one doesn't complete. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm just going to do what I want to do. But I found myself like, you know, if I can tell a game has good side content, I usually do engage with most, if not all of it. Like, it was worth it in Remake, even though a lot of it was like abysmal in my opinion, because you would get manuscripts, which you would noticeably see improve the combat, or you'd get free fast travel, which makes doing the shitty side quests like way easier. And if you do all the like Shinra training ones, you end up with like one of the best bracelets if you do it on hard mode. So I like when there's like a legitimate reason to do it. But if it's just to Ubisoft style, cross stuff off the map, level up, get nothing out of it, here's some like AI written dialogue or whatever. It's like, it's not worth it. It's just like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is so egregious with that, where it's just... It's almost it feels like it's developed the same way as Skyrim with the Radiant stuff, where, you know, it infinitely generates quests, but it's done so poorly because it's like throughout the entire game. So yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you, Brad. It's like, if you're not feeling it, just move on or come back later, or just don't do it. I mean, enjoy the game how you want to enjoy it. That's why it's there.
Okay to move on. Yeah, it's okay. All right. Let's see. Paul S. wrote in, "Hey, Summoners. I've been playing FF7 Rebirth the last few days, and I have to say I love it so far. However, one change that I'm not a fan of is how skill trees work. It makes weapon upgrades feel significantly less important, and the new folio kiosks feel like an unnecessary addition instead of just a menu. What do you think of the changes in Rebirth from Remake, and how do you feel about them so far? Thanks." So, he's talking primarily about the weapon upgrades. So you guys remember, because you played Remake recently, is like you would go into the weapon, it'd be like that weird galaxy fucking thing, and you'd click
so hard
stuff.
to navigate. It's so weird.
That's like gone in this game, which frankly I'm happy about, because I thought it was pretty tedious in the original game. So
so bad.
I have no problem with that being gone. The weapon kiosks are used for, or the folio kiosks are used. You get like points, like 10 points or whatever, and you use this like on a skill tree altogether. It's not just for your weapon, it's for everything for your character. So you just unlock stuff there instead of individually going through your weapons, which I like a lot more, because I can use a lot more of the weapons. I feel like the older weapons and still do pretty well with them if I want. Like, I use the Buster Sword with Cloud pretty much the whole game still, because it's still good enough to use. So I think it's a smart change. The fact that you have to go to like a kiosk to do it is kind of annoying when it should just be a menu, but I think overall it's a good change.
Yeah, I take that trade-off over that weird galaxy menu, because when you get new weapons and you have to re-spend all those points, that just like
it was a slog. Yeah, a big slog.
I straight up didn't understand what the fuck that was. When I first opened the menu up, I was like, why is it like this? This is so unnecessary. There's a lot of unnecessary work that I feel like goes into games that don't need. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like you could have just designed a straightforward menu. That's what I love about Elden Ring's menu. It's just lists. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, this is fine. You don't need to get cute with it. There doesn't need to be like a galaxy theme.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need it.
It's just a normal list. Yeah. And it works perfectly well for Elden Ring. That's right.
Yeah. Give me a spreadsheet.
Oh, God. Let's see. Kramer wrote in, "Hey, Summoners. Chadley might be the most annoying NPC of all time. What are your thoughts on Chadley? And give us a top 3 worst NPCs ever. Kramer, not Cosmo."
Oh, man.
Chadley has gotten much more annoying in this game than Remake, I would say, because he is just constantly pestering in your ear. Chadley, I was down with Chadley in Remake. No question. I was like, all right, this is my weird little robot friend who gives me cool tasks. He's just kind of all over the place in this game.
Chadley made my game crash twice in Rebirth.
Oh, no.
Because I was on my Chocobo. I was riding around doing his little quests, and then he called me on his little device. But then, for some reason, the cutscene wouldn't cut in. So Cloud would talk to him, but the cutscene wouldn't start, and then I would just be in limbo. And then I would have to start over. And that happened twice now.
Damn, that sucks. Fucking
it's his fault,
man. Chadley. Yeah. Top 3 worst NPCs ever, though. Who's
man.
NPC?
The first one that comes to mind for me is Ashley.
Oh, from Resident Evil?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even in 4 Remake, there were parts where she was just getting like, there was a part in that game where like basically like what feels like meteorites are being trebucheted at you in a castle, and she wouldn't stop getting hit. And I'm just like, dude, just please, like, I know this is like later. This isn't the original game. Like, this is way later on. It's like, I can't believe this is still still a problem.
God's sakes.
Although I guess she's not technically. Well, she is. You play as her later.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it technically mean she's not a non-playable character, but in those moments she is.
Yeah,
and it's really irritating.
That's a good pick, Chris. That's a legendary pick, definitely. Trying to think of someone else who's really annoying in a game.
That little that little fucker from a Plague Tale, like the little brother who just screams like Amicia. That one.
Amicia.
I fucking hate that guy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that's in the same way that Ashley is annoying, so maybe that's not a good answer, I guess.
Hey, annoying is annoying.
Yeah, there's the famous ones. Navi, I remember people not liking.
Navi, yeah, right. That's a good one, yeah. I can't think of too many right now off the top of my head.
That's a good thing, by the way, that we can't think of, because it means because I feel like if this question was asked 10 years ago, we would have so many answers like right off the top of our heads, and now that's not really. I feel like it's not really the case. I feel like we've understood on some level to maybe tone it down with the annoying NPCs.
Yeah, that's true. All right, this last question is from Derek Davis. Hello again, sirs. Like everyone who isn't squatting up with the boys, I've been neglecting responsibilities and alienating loved ones due to the stranglehold FF7 Rebirth has on me. Queen's Blood is the first in-game card game to really grip me. Hated Triple Triad back in the day, and even Gwent was just meh. How have y'all felt about it? Would you like to see a standalone or even physical game? Bonus question, if you were a Queen's Blood card, what would your ability be? Thanks, and maybe let that chicken win every now and then. No. Chicken never wins.
I haven't played it, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. This Queen's Blood game.
Yeah.
I heard on my buddy Jake's podcast, they were talking about it. I think Skill Up was saying how much he loved it. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't go so well for Gwent, though. People really liked Gwent, and then they made that game, and nobody played it. So maybe it's like too niche of an audience or something. But, I mean, if it's in the game, you can already play it. So you can just keep going back to Final Fantasy.
I think it'd be good, to maybe just put Queen's Blood in another Final Fantasy game instead.
Yeah.
Instead of doing like a solo game around it. I mean, put in like Final Fantasy 14, I guess. They already have Triple Triad in there. You could throw that in there too.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's like an MMO, right? Like, yeah.
Is it like in The Witcher where you meet a ton of people who do it? Because I've only met 4 or 5 people, but I'm only at the beginning. There's more people,
as you go on. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was really good at it, but then somebody told me that it gets way harder later on.
I don't think it gets way harder. I think if you just understand the grasp of things kind of lock, you'll be all right. Some cards get introduced that are a little more tricky, but you'll be fine.
Oh, okay. I thought I tricked the game by always just picking stuff that aims to the right and then just blocking the other one off straight away. But I guess that gets harder when their cards get higher, I guess.
Yeah, they can do stuff like they can destroy cards and stuff like that. So you can't do the same strats forever, but you'll be all right.
Okay.
As for a Queen's Blood game in real life, yes, I would absolutely love that. That board looks sick, dude. It's on a castle and everything. It looks awesome.
You could play it at like take on what's it called, Marvel Snap, right?
Oh yeah,
like new Marvel Snap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, Queen's Blood, new Marvel Snap. And what would our cards be if we were a Queen's Blood card? Chris, I think, would like self-destruct and deal damage to everyone around him or something like that.
Yeah, pull a Majin Vegeta, get everybody out of there. I think I don't know, man. I wish I liked card games as much as because I remember when Hearthstone came out and I tried it. Like I really tried it, and I'm just like, there's something about like if I'm playing cards, I want to do it in real life. Like virtual cards don't feel right to me. Like because I don't know if I'm alone in that or
Chris,
what,
you sound exactly like me with card games. Exactly. Really? Fun in real life, didn't care about them at all. Tried Hearthstone. Thought Hearthstone was really cool. Just couldn't get into it. Queen's Blood though. Something about Queen's Blood is keeping me going. Where I'm
Is
like
it the
excited.
presentation of it? Is it
The
like does it have, like,
presentation's
really good
cool.
presentation?
Yeah, the presentation's cool, and I think the cards are cool and the mechanics.
Yeah.
And they don't last super long, the games, so you don't feel like you're there for 30 minutes fighting someone.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Gwent got kind of long.
yeah. Some games would get
middle.
long.
Yeah.
Queen's Blood's pretty fast, so I don't know. You're forced to try it once at least when you play Rebirth, so you can get a taste. And if you don't like it, I don't think you ever have to play it again.
Yeah. I'm definitely open to it. I know that game. This is a separate conversation, but like I know that Balatro game is apparently pretty good.
Yes.
So yeah,
I'm meaning to maybe check that out sometime in the future. But
yeah. Locke, just any final thoughts about Rebirth?
no, I'm very
No,
excited.
you're
Well, yeah. I guess I'm very excited to see where it goes. I don't know anything about what happens next.
Good.
So you just said I know the Golden Saucer, of course. I've seen it before, but I don't know any of the story elements. So I'm very curious to see how it develops. Oh, I also really like the relationship stuff you can do. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
Which is so cool because at the beginning, I did it again. I was very sleepy when I started Rebirth, and I missed like the very first interaction you have with Tifa, like the hotel room or motel room. And I think I missed like an interaction because she was like a little bit weird afterwards. And then Aerith wanted me to go to the clock tower with her. Does that always happens, I guess, or not?
Yeah. So there's parts of the game where characters will ask you something or give you a choice, and you get like 3 responses, but there's a countdown going, so you have to think kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And depending on what you do, they'll either be happy with you or not. Like Aerith was like, "You want to go to the clock tower?" And I said, "No."
Oh.
So she was mad because I was like, I'm going with fucking Tifa, right, dude? Fuck off, Aerith.
jeez,
That's my girl this time.
That's gonna stress me out. I don't like making people sad.
Yeah.
But then you get lots of room and opportunities to improve those, so fear
And
not.
They have cool smileys above their head.
They do,
Or a
yeah, with
frowny
visual
face,
gauges, yeah. Because that can kick in at certain moments in the game, depending on who you have a high relationship with. Some stuff could change.
Do you think that has like consequences, like big ones at the end?
I don't know about
or not?
narrative, like big narrative consequences, but there's some.
That's
some
cool.
moments.
I love that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
One last thing I would say about the game is it's cool because often they split the party up, so you're not just Cloud the whole time. So they let you play as the other characters, and some of them have unique navigation abilities and stuff like that. Like Yuffie
Cool.
has a grappling hook she can use. Red 13 can run on some walls. So just small little touches like that I appreciate to make the characters feel different.
Mm.
All right, boys. Particularly Jimmy. A Mudrunner game. What the
Yes.
hell is this? Talk to me.
Okay, so when we were talking, this might not even be in the episode, but we were talking about gaming regrets later, and mine was going to be not playing just what I want to play and playing what everyone else is playing. And if I didn't start doing that, I would have never discovered this game SnowRunner. Like earlier this year, I bought a racing wheel because I'm really into cars, and I just kitted out my Jeep Wrangler, so it's like all set up for off-roading, and I've been doing that a lot lately. It's like really fun. But SnowRunner is like this game where you drive trucks, you get them stuck in the mud, and then you get out of the mud, and then you pull other trucks out of the mud. And
Sick.
I liked it, didn't love it, but there was one aspect of it that I loved, which is you can take vehicles called Scouts, so like a Jeep or like a Land Cruiser, like a Range Rover Defender, and you drive to like a Ubisoft tower, and that reveals part of the map. So like figuring out how to get up a mountain by using low gear or like putting on the diff lock or like all-wheel drive or using your winch and stuff like that. That was like the best part of the game. And I did that for every map, and then I was kind of done with it. This new game, Expeditions, is basically just that. Like SnowRunner has towns and stuff, and you're going through little cities, or you're just going through forests or like farms or whatever. This is all like untamed land. It's set in like Arizona or like the middle of the woods. And all of the missions are basically like set up this research base, or like find this crash truck, or find this like ancient ruins or something like that. And there's no roads or anything. So it's all about using trucks and smaller vehicles to like, it's kind of like Death Stranding, where you're trying to figure out the unique combination of tires, car parts and abilities to use to make your way across the map. And I put about 10 hours into it so far before I got derailed to finally play Remake. But I think it's a big improvement over SnowRunner in that way. And they also give you unique tools to get out of annoying situations. Like in SnowRunner, if you ran out of gas or just got completely stuck, you could recover to the garage, but it would remember how much you deformed the mud where you were at. So you would basically 9 times out of 10 get exactly the same situation when you drive all the way back. And I mean, like all these cars are going like 10 miles an hour at max. So it takes a little bit to get across the map. But this game gives you the ability to like use a jack so you can like position your car out of a stuck point like 10 feet away. It's great. And there's another thing where they added a portable anchor point. So you can put down like a little hook. And if you're on top of a cliff and you don't want to drive all the way around, you can just attach your winch to that hook and like lower your car down backwards. So It's just like ease of use sort of things that they've added in. It's made by Saber Interactive, and they have this little series going in the background. And there's this like weirdly big community of people who, like, if you go on the Reddit, they'll stop at gas stations and see some of the trucks from the game and they'll like post pictures of it. It's like the most wholesome community ever. Like no one is aggressive. No one is like ever mean. Like everyone's cool to answer questions and everything. And like, as someone who is trying to get more into off-roading, like I did a little bit in Mammoth Caves when I was in Tennessee over the weekend. It's weird how you can play games like this and then apply the techniques to real life and then they actually work. Like, when I got stuck in a little bit of mud, I was like, oh, if I just move my tires back and forth and keep my car in low gear, I'll get out of this easy. And that totally like just worked. So I'm really into these like simulation style games where it's like applicable to real life, where you like feel like you're kind of learning a little bit of a skill, but it's gamified to make it more interesting. And it's like,
awesome.
It's like $40, I think. It's got 3 maps. It's a lot smaller than SnowRunner. And I know the SnowRunner community was upset because they were like, is this replacing it? And they're like, no, it's just a different fork, new way for us to sell DLC in the background. And knowing that, it's just going to be a fun game for me to return to between stuff because you don't really forget how to drive a car.
Yeah, that looks really, really satisfying, actually, this whole game. It is Death Stranding, just you're a car, that's it.
Yeah.
And that speaks to me. These just seeing a guy try to get over like a little hump or get out of like a tiny ditch is such like a huge effort, is awesome. I love this.
The biggest feature that they added, the like best feature, is letting air out of your tires, like change the game completely.
Oh, whoa.
Because that's what you do if you're on like a sand dune or whatever. You like let the air out of your tires to get more grip. And there are so many moments in SnowRunner where I would wanted to have done that I can in this one, and it's just like, it's awesome. You see the tire deflate, your car drops like an inch, and you're like, oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm crawling up this rock. I'm going to defeat it.
So
nice.
Are the only obstacles in it just the environment, or is there like, okay, I don't know if there's like some fucking wild animals attacking your car or anything like that.
That's like the one weird thing about it, I would say, is like the world is completely empty, but this one has like research companions who give you special buffs or whatever, but they exist as like cards you would scan to get into a concert, you know, on a lanyard.
Yeah.
And they're not voiced. There's a mission where you have to find the Breaking Bad van, and there's like a guy at it, but the guy's not there. He just like doesn't even talk to you over the radio. So it feels like very lifeless. I'd say the only human you see in the game is your character driving the car. But I had like a weird like Inception moment when I was playing with my racing wheel, because the main character was wearing the exact same sweater as me with a very similar watch and bracelet. Whoa. And I was like, whoa, this is super weird seeing that in a game. And it's totally randomized. Like there's like your guy has like a billion different outfits, but it's random every time you load in. But yeah, I mean, it feels a little empty. It's definitely a budget game. Like Saber's not making AAA stuff, you know, like they do with what they can, but they're using the mud deformation from this game for the John Carpenter's Toxic Commando game, which is also pulling in their World War Z game. So you can kind of like see how they'd meld together, where it's like Left 4 Dead style game where you're also driving and then your car gets stuck in the mud. So you have someone trying to get it out, and then you're also defending that point. So it's cool to see them kind of like branch off into different genres and then bring them together for other games. It's just like they're creative. I think that's cool. I don't think they get a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, I think that's super awesome. I had no idea they're making a Toxic Avenger video game or something like that.
Like John Carpenter's like writing it, but because he plays a lot of video games. Like if you follow John Carpenter on Twitter, he's like fucking nuts about Horizon. He loves Fallout 76. He's like constantly tweeting about them. So he's like, I want to write this, Left 4 Dead style game called Toxic Commando. So I hope it's good. I've liked a lot of Saber's games. I have no reason to believe it'll be bad, but it's just like, when you get these licensed things, it's like John Carpenter's, you're like, is it going to be good or is it going to be half-assed,
Hey, man, we need these AA games. We need them. Yeah. They're great.
Yeah.
Something that's just weird and fills a really weird space, I'm all for.
Yeah, if you're a car guy, I highly recommend this game. And if you're a Death Stranding fan and you want that like dopamine hit, good game for that.
What was like the biggest hurdle you've overcome in it so far?
There's this one mission where you have to get to a point like farther across the map and then drive all the way around it and like explore it. But you're just like, it has fog of war over the entire map when you load in the first time. So you're filling that out. But there's like this river where it looks like you can cross it, right? And you can go back and forth to the HQ and bring 150 supplies and you can hold like 18 at a time. And that'll make a bridge. But I was like, I'm feeling lazy. I'm not doing that. So I like go in the water. Immediately the current starts like dragging my car a little bit. So I recovered, drove back, figured out that I could like, if I was quick enough, drop an anchor on the rock in the middle of the river and then catch it with the winch before I get dragged far enough away. So I did this like crazy quick button command, did that, got to the middle, and then it was just gravel on the other side. But getting that timing right was really tough, and being able to just like get to that little high point, see the map around me, and then just be like, oh, it's just gravel here, and just roll across that and explore the map. That was really cool. It was like really satisfying.
Damn. Yeah, this game looks awesome, dude. Fuck. I wish you didn't show me this or tell me about this.
It sounds to me like there's like a pretty robust physics system kind of in place. Is that, would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, they definitely improved it. Like in SnowRunner, the people who know about cars like to bitch that it's like the cars kind of feel really light. They feel like they're floaty. So this one, it feels like they added correct weight where like the shocks actually work depending on the angle you're on and stuff. And then the way the mud deforms is awesome. Like if you get stuck and spin your tires, like you keep it in 4-wheel drive auto, it'll just like spin the tires, dig you deeper, then you're kind of screwed. But if you know what you're kind of about to go through, you also have this like gadget that shows you the depth of the land in front of you. So you can use it on a river to kind of plan a route through that, but you can also use it on mud to see how deep it's going to be. So then you can throw it in low gear, kind of like use the throttle to like inch your way through, let the air out of the tires, and that'll keep the mud sort of flat in case you come back later with like a truck with a big bed on it or something that's not rated for mud. So you can you can reset the map whenever you want. You can just load to the menu and load back. But if you want to knock out objectives, like you can bring up to 3 cars in with you. So you can do a bunch in one session. And they're going to add co-op. I know people love SnowRunner in co-op, but it's kind of like my relax game, like where I put my own soundtrack over it a lot of the time, kind of try to get immersed in it. I use the racing wheel and everything. And I bought a gear shift for it so I can go into like low gear and everything. And
nice.
I prefer it that way. It's kind of made it feel like a real simulator sort of setup. But yeah, the deformation's awesome.
Cool.
Any kind, I guess, just kind of have flaws. You're like, I wish this was a little better.
There's this bug in SnowRunner that everyone has bitched about forever, where if you hit a tree the wrong way, like if you touch it with like a molecule of your tire, it'll shoot you up into the sky and then you'll just like float like really fast spinning. And it always happens in the worst missions, like where it's like a 3-step thing where it's like go to this spot, use your winch to pull a truck out of the mud and then drag it back to the garage. And then when you get this bug that shoots you up in the sky, you basically have to restart the whole thing. And that is just draining. And I was like, surely they're not going to have that bug in this because there's a lot of other stuff that they fix, but it's happened to me twice already. And it's less frustrating in this because it's not the missions are different, where it's
Mhm.
just exploration. But there have been a couple of times where I've been booted back to the HQ because I was in the sky, and then I have to go all the way back and cross this river, like go over this
Jeez.
tree, and that's annoying. So I hope they kind of take the time to address that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing.
Yeah. It's one thing.
Pretty chill so far.
Ronnie Barrier wrote in, how much mud can a Mudrunner run if a Mudrunner can't run mud?
I'm gonna say yes. I don't know.
There it
That's
is.
that's the accurate answer. Right
Yeah.
there.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to Overwatch 2. Locke, you play this game, which I was surprised to hear.
Why? What? Why?
Well,
Why was
because
this
we were
surprising?
playing like Helldivers a lot, and you're like, oh, I wake up at 2 a.m. to play Overwatch. I was like, dude, how many online games are you playing with people?
Well, Overwatch, I checked my hours before we started this because I wanted to know. I used to be a huge fan of Left 4 Dead 2.
Mhm.
That's the game I have
Oh,
most
yeah.
hours in on the planet. So I checked that first. I have like 1.5k hours in Left 4 Dead, which is one of my proudest gaming achievements. But I checked Overwatch 2 earlier, just before we started, and I have 1.4k hours in Overwatch 2 or in Overwatch. So I guess I'm going to have to stop playing Overwatch now because I don't want it to subsede my Left 4 Dead time.
Reasonable.
But yeah, yeah. But I used to love Overwatch when it just came out in 2016. It was so unique. I don't think we've had many hero shooters before that. We've had like Team Fortress 2,
Mhm.
of course, but way before that on the Source 2 engine, which was also amazing. But Overwatch 2 hit like the right notes for everyone. I think it was so popular. I think it even won Game of the Year
It
that
did.
year. If I'm
I think it did.
did.
Yeah.
yeah,
it
yeah,
did.
exactly. But then Blizzard happened, and Blizzard did what Blizzard does. And Blizzard kept adding stuff to it and kept changing it. And then every time they added a new hero, the game got unbalanced or the maps got unbalanced. So they had to nerf some heroes or give some heroes extra perks. Or then they figured out, oh, well, some starter heroes don't really work out. We're going to give them a completely new skill set
Mhm.
or a new ult. Or we're going to take this hero from the healers and we're going to put him in damage or vice versa. So I get what they were doing. They were kind of like rebalancing the game, which makes sense. But while it was still Overwatch 1, they maybe went a little bit too far with it because at the end, when it was still Overwatch 1 a couple of years ago, the game was starting to get unbalanced really, really bad. Like it started to lose players too. I think the esports scene went down too. But then Blizzard had a wonderful solution because they were just going to make Overwatch 2 and
Mhm.
fix all the problems. And not only that, they were going to add single player, or not single player, or yeah, I do.
No,
think
they were.
single-
Yeah, there was a campaign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were going to add a campaign because the backstory to Overwatch is amazing, right? Like you have these two factions, these two opposing factions. Really cool story, really cool characters, really cool intros on YouTube. If you've never seen Overwatch, definitely watch like the player intros on YouTube. Really cool little Pixar short movies.
Mhm.
Awesome stuff. But so they decided that they wanted to make Overwatch 2. And to make Overwatch 2, they had one big change, right? Because Overwatch 1 was always 6 versus 6, right? So you had two of everything. You had two tanks, you had two healers, and you had two DPS, right? Pretty simple. That's how every game works, right? Like just
Mhm.
rock, paper, scissors, always the same. But then when they made Overwatch 2, they figured, because in Overwatch 1, all the tanks had like shields. So after a while, it just became a shield game. Like you had two tanks with shields in front of everyone, and the game basically consisted about taking down the shields, and then you could easily kill everyone. So that the team who killed the tanks first would always win.
Mhm.
So in Overwatch 2, they had this brilliant idea. They would take away one of the tanks. So you would only have one tank, and you would basically play 5v5 instead of 6v6. But the only problem with that is, which was a pretty good idea, I think. But the only problem is if you take a player away and you are left with 5 players, that means that if one player doesn't do his job or isn't good at what he's doing or is AFK, needs to go to the bathroom or just gets pissed off and closes the game, you're done. Like your team will never be able to pick up the slack. While if you're with 6 people and you have 2 of each, it was pretty doable to pick up the slack. But now with 5v5, what it is now, it's just basically impossible. If you have a bad healer, you're dead. If you have bad DPS, you're not getting any kills. If you have a bad tank, everyone's just dead. So that is a big problem. The other problem is that they brought so many new heroes now. I think we started with, I'm not sure, I think 16, 17 heroes or something. Right now, they have so many heroes. Some of them I've never even played as.
Right.
And the problem is, again, that the game becomes so unbalanced that every time they add a new hero, there's this conspiracy theory that they're doing this on purpose. But every time they add a new hero, the game completely fucks up. You're done. Like, everyone's playing the new hero kills everyone.
Sojourn, I remember, was one like that.
Yes, exactly. Every single new hero is like that. It started with Doomfist, really, and ever since then, every new hero they add is just, it ruins the game, basically. But Blizzard is Blizzard, so Blizzard also had a solution for that. Like, they're started to do seasons now, right? So every season they add a new hero, and then the ranks reset. But the ranks don't really reset, which is another problem. So a couple of years ago, I think, 2016, you got a certain rank, right? And then normally you would think every season your rank would restart, right? Like, you would just start from zero again. But it doesn't really work that way. So let's say you got rank silver 1 or silver 2, and the next season starts, you'll start at silver 2. So you'll play against people who are in silver 2. So if you have a bad teammate, it gets almost impossible to get out of your rank that you're currently at, unless you find like a couple of teammates that are on your level. And then if you have a full team, then hopefully you can rise out of it. But they made it really, really difficult to do that. But yeah, I have a couple of people in LSM, like Poots and Miyochi, who are two of my best buddies there. We've played Overwatch, I think, every day for over a year now. We played for 1 hour a day. We play like 3 matches. We lose 2, we win 1, so you're always happy and sad at the same time. And yeah, it's cool. Blizzard also added a couple of new modes, like they added this weird robot map now, where you have to basically escort a robot from one side to the map to the other. Or they added like a more battle royale. Well, not a really battle royale. They added like one with a new point which you have to capture, which is cool. But I think what everyone really wants is just to go back to 2016.
Yeah.
So I hope, or at least I hope so. Some of my friends don't agree with this, but I hope that they do what they did with WoW and just add make like Overwatch Classic or something. Just get rid of all the new heroes, get rid of all the new maps, and just give us what it was in 2016. And then it'll be a great success again. Because I think a lot of people are missing what it was. We don't really have anything like it right now, I think.
Yeah. I feel like if they do that, Locke, that is such a huge blow to the dev team of Overwatch 2. Especially if...
Well,
it was to WoW, I'm pretty sure, the devs.
Yeah.
They could do it like Fortnite, where it's a season, like how they brought back the original map for a month or so.
Yeah, they could do that.
That would probably get people back in, too, and have them spend money, which is like obviously why they made it Overwatch 2.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, the money, right? Because I bought like this pack when they launched it, because they promised like there was going to be PvE content, like single player content, and they just didn't do it. They just didn't do it. Yeah. No, we're not going to do it. And I said, okay, but can I have my money back? No. All right.
It's crazy. It's truly crazy.
Oh no, we're keeping that.
The way that situation unfolded was truly wild to behold.
Yeah.
Like I really couldn't believe.
It was just like a blog post.
Yeah, because that was the only justification for why it was even a sequel in the first place. Yeah. Because without the PvE stuff in the game, it is just the first game again.
Yeah.
With like maybe like slightly different UI elements. I don't know, man. They really botched that in a way that only Activision Blizzard can. I feel like they did a similar thing with Destiny, where it's like Destiny 2, and it's like, why?
Yeah, same thing.
Just make more Destiny. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I played a lot of Overwatch back in 2016 and
nice.
Really dug it. But at a certain point, they kept changing stuff, and I fell off super early because of that. Because it's just like, man, it frustrates the hell out. I get why they do it, and I get the impetus behind it. I understand why you want to keep the game fresh and change metas and all that stuff. You don't want people settling into the old routines, but at the same time, like, I don't know, man. I like routines. That's like kind of
Mhm.
the point of a multiplayer game in some ways is to kind of become a routine. So like I think about it with the old Halo games where it's like that battle rifle is the same exact battle rifle as it was 10 years ago, and there's no changes, and it feels like coming home in that way. And when I go to Overwatch now, it's like it doesn't feel like coming home. Like it feels like going to like a fucking, it's like what the hell is like a parade going on, and it's like wearing the skin of the thing that I used to care about, but like I don't know if
That's exactly it. Yeah.
yeah.
Who did you used to play as? Did you have like a particular main? Or
Yeah, I loved Farah a lot because she was like, you could play her on a controller and not really lose too much because like there were certain characters that you needed a mouse and keyboard, like McCree, I think, and Widowmaker were like mouse and keyboard characters, and then Farah was a little bit more because she was so splash damage oriented and so like position oriented. You could just kind of you could get away with a controller and do really really well, and it was just good for like couch sessions where you're just kind of chilling and just playing. But there was somebody else that I played often, but not as Roadhog, because I loved
sick
because I loved looping people into holes.
Yeah, he was so that's good cool. For so long, dude.
Yeah.
That's still Wheeler. He can still do that. That's cool.
Yeah, I played a lot of Overwatch 1, especially in the beta before it was out. Like I played a fuck ton of that, and of course when it came out. And I feel like they were on a good path with heroes. Like when they added Ana, I really like Ana's like my favorite healer to play as. Like I really like her.
Yeah.
And Genji was one of my favorites. I just loved his movement and all that kind of stuff.
That's
but
what I played.
Genji. They just kind of started getting less and less interesting characters to me. I was just like, okay, well, not as interested like that. Then the content just dried up for so long for Overwatch 1, like years.
Yeah.
So it was like, you fucking killed your game. You killed one of like the biggest things on the planet. Overwatch was so huge at a point. And I can't believe they just fucking killed it like they did.
Don't worry, we got new maps, and it's just it's the same old maps, but like with different times of day.
Yeah, now it's nighttime here, dude. Like, okay, I guess that's kind of neat, but not sequel neat.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I couldn't believe that they did that. I was laughing so hard, especially when you compare it to like, and I know this is like a more recent game, but like, play the finals and like every map just has time of day and different weather, and it does change it, but like to market it as if it's like more content when it's really just a replacement. It's just, I don't know. They handled that so badly.
I hate that stuff because it's like kind of disrespectful to me. It's like, did you think I wasn't gonna notice? Like,
you
don't gotta pass it off. Just say what you're actually doing. I mean, like something's better than nothing, but like making nothing and pretending like it's something is worse.
Yeah.
Well, in their defense, it worked because I'm still playing it. Like a lot of people are like me, or are shitting on it, but are still playing it. So,
right, like the core loop is there for you.
Well, it mostly became like a friend game, like Helldivers is, which is just I would never play Overwatch alone anymore. That fucking community is toxic as hell. But I love playing it with my friends because you just talk with them and you just have some fun for like an hour and then you're out of it again.
It's an excuse to hang out and do something while you're hanging out. Like, I get that. Yeah. I love that you like, we shut on it, but we play it all the time. That's a very Destiny.
Yep.
Yeah. Destiny mindset.
Locke, I think obviously besides the PvE changes in 2 being cut, I think one of the biggest mistakes is how they handled monetization in that game now. So loot boxes were not good. I don't like loot boxes, but at least you could save up the currency it wasn't too bad to save up currency, I would say. Because you level up and you get a loot box and you can get dupes, so you get currency, but you can spend that currency on something else. So you could buy something. But now you're getting free currency, but it's so pathetic the amount you're getting. It seems like not even an option at this point, from what I understand. Well, that's what it was when it came out, but I don't know what it's like now.
Well, you know why that is? And this is pretty awesome. That's because of my country. Because Belgium stopped allowing loot boxes. Like they made them illegal in every single game. So Overwatch had the choice, like either the whole Benelux, so the Netherlands, Belgium, I think Luxembourg, no more Overwatch, or you're taking them out. And then they just took them out. Which is weird. I didn't even know that they took them out in every country. I just thought they did that for us, but they did that everywhere, I guess. Yeah.
Because they're like, well, you can just earn currency.
Yeah,
the battle pass or whatever.
What? That's another thing. Like, there's a battle pass. I've never bought a battle pass, but apparently, apparently you get points anyway for it. So once every season, I did it today. I think when I was checking my hours, I accidentally click on the battle pass and it just go tuk, 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 complete it. Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
You might have a
you
free
get the
one.
stuff, or do you have to buy it? Like,
Well, that's I had, this is kind of embarrassing, I guess, but at some point before loot boxes were made illegal, I had like 150 loot boxes. So I just kept opening them, and I got so much currency and shit out of it that I had enough to one time buy like a battle pass. And ever since then, I don't know if this is the case for everyone. I think it just auto completes it every time, and then you can also buy the battle pass, and that's like a bigger one. And then you can get the new characters. But I think if you don't buy one, it unlocks automatically. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's how it works.
There might be a free one or some free stuff in it. Like many games do that. So I'm not exactly sure. But they started adding heroes to the battle pass and everything like that.
Yeah.
So people are saying it's pay to win. So you gotta get the battle pass. I don't know.
oh,
Kind of a whole mess.
That sucks. It's not just skins or whatever. That's
Well, in their defense, well, I don't want to defend them, but the new heroes, they don't add them until the new season starts, right? Like you can play as them, but not in competitive.
Oh, okay.
So there are people who have them and other people who don't have them, but usually there's like a 2-week period. And in that 2-week period, most people get them through the free battle pass. So.
Yeah, I guess that's better.
Gotcha.
But they're still broken. They still fucked it up. So
It sounds really fucking convoluted.
Yeah,
it is.
It sure does.
It is. Yeah.
Like, fuck, man. That IP they could have gone to the stars with, I feel like.
Such a shame.
It should have been, like, why was there not a TV show like Arcane or something for Overwatch?
They could have made a
It's
movie
like,
so easily.
Well, they still can. I don't think it's because it's not dead. Like people are still playing it.
People are
Like,
still
a lot
playing
of
it,
people are
but
still playing it.
I don't know if, like, the masses are happy to see a lot of those characters again.
No, yeah, like it has to get like a redemption arc, like
it does.
a No Man's Sky thing.
Yeah, it does. We haven't seen that yet. I hope it does, but shit, man.
I think Overwatch still has a chance in that realm specifically. I think there's enough appeal there and enough kind of, I don't know. I would be curious to see, like, if I saw a trailer for like an Overwatch show and it looked like it was animated well, I'd probably check it out. Even if the game isn't what it used to be. I mean, if Paramount Plus can put out a Halo show that your grandpa likes that sucks, then I'm sure Overwatch still has a swing in it.
Yeah. So I think their main issue is that they can't make an Overwatch 3 now. Like that people are not going to take that.
No.
Yeah. So they're kind of stuck. So I don't know how they're going to get out of it. Maybe in a couple of years. I don't know. Maybe
they'll do like a relaunch or something. Just switch it back to Overwatch.
They got to invest.
We talk about this a lot in Destiny Town. Like, what are they going to do after the final shape? And I don't know. It's so weird that they're both stuck on the 2 now, and they can never really drop it effectively.
Yeah,
it's weird. Embers Arcade wrote in, gentlemen, I have to know, how did Overwatch go from being the premier multiplayer offering that won Game of the Year in 2016 to, well, whatever it is now? Is Overwatch 2 worth revisiting, or am I correct in assuming that the franchise's best years are behind it?
It's still worth. I'm still having fun with it. It's just not. Don't expect like a good game. I mean, like, don't expect like a highly competitive. Well, maybe on higher level. This is where we're only like plat and gold, so that's very medium. But maybe on higher levels, it's very competitive. But it's if you have a couple of friends who are interested in it, then it's so much fun. But if you're going at it alone, that community is like the worst community out there. Like people yell at each other constantly. Like people leave games. People start crying. People that community is just goddamn awful. It's funny to us, but
like
I think
Asylum.
Yeah. That community is like is absolutely garbage. But most communities are these days, I guess, like online games. So if you've played Call of Duty back in the day, it's not that different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Yeah. It tends to. I mean, you're actually kind of seeing this with Helldivers and Overwatch in respect to one another, in the sense that like Helldivers is all co-op and and Overwatch is all PvP basically.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of just reflects the community in some way, because the Helldivers is great.
Mhm.
And even to be fair, like as Destiny has like kind of floundered in many years, like and as PvP has become less of a focus, I find that the community there is actually a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the nature of PvP where people get competitive and they're like, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
My God, yeah. I don't like games where there's like the ability to be a sweat, because then I'm not good at competitive in anything, which is why I always fell off of like Overwatch. And I like did one Trials of Osiris where I made it to the lighthouse and I was like, I'm done. And I grinded for it for so long. Like when they did a Trials revamp, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, I'm going to do it. I did it. And then I got out. But I like watching good people. I
don't got it in me anymore.
Yeah.
To be there.
I don't have the time.
Young
I'm
man's
sad.
game.
It's a young man's game. I'm happy. I'm happy playing old shit.
Yeah.
now.
Boomer games.
Yeah.
Let's see. Papa Biscuit wrote in, greetings, watchers of the sacred signs. Do you wish Overwatch 2 Overwatch went back to loot boxes? I used to play Overwatch 1 and 2 religiously, but now every skin is around $10 or more. Even if I see a cool looking skins, I'm not installing the game because I'm not paying that kind of cash for skin. Not to mention all the annoying matchmaking changes. To me, this is the biggest fall from grace in modern gaming. I don't see myself going back ever. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to Belgium, the loot boxes are never coming back.
He's right though.
Champ.
The skins are egregious though. There are, because sometimes one of my friends really likes the skins and sometimes buys one of them.
Mhm.
I couldn't care less about skins. I would never buy skins for anything. But I think he bought a couple. But the price they asked for them is egregious, like $20 for like just a normal skin.
Skins
doesn't
are
do
a lot,
anything.
man.
Like you don't even get to see it because you play as the character. So I don't get.
I know.
Why
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
first
that was-
person.
Yeah, that was always
What?
hard.
Yeah, like Diablo's out of control too. I still
Yeah.
casually play
Yeah.
that, and like
Yeah.
your two options are pay like $30 or get a battle pass, which is not fun. So my guy looks like ass every season. He's just running around like a loincloth. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Locke, can you tell me about this Cowboy Bebop crossover they're having?
No.
Okay, I saw it. That's all I know. There's
No,
Cowboy
I
Bebop.
don't.
Cowboy
Yeah,
Bebop
that's
cross-
Yeah, it's
true.
real. It was a cool
They're-
trailer.
Yeah, it looked pretty. It looked pretty cool. They have there's not much to say about it. Like
I guess just a
they
couple
have-
skins.
Yeah, they have like a lot of crossovers. Some are really cool. Some are really stupid. Cowboy Bebop is pretty. I don't know Cowboy Bebop. I guess it's a weeb thing, but for cool weebs. So
Yeah,
No, Cowboy Bebop is good.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Cool
That's second. That I think that's essential. That's so Cowboy Bebop is so good.
And it's short. It's not like this
Yeah, it's short.
1,000 episode epic.
Right. Yeah.
Three-
That's
Yeah.
that's what I.
And
That's
it's
what I
got good
value
music.
most.
You'll like it, Locke. I think you'd like that. This is what I want.
I see what's going on here.
No, for real. No, I swear. I say this as like a very, very anti this person.
Okay, that's cool. I'll
It's
give it a.
like-
I'll give it a chance.
That theme, man, is
Yeah.
Well, the
So
theme.
good.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the theme plays when you start Overwatch. Now, I could be
Oh,
wrong.
does it? That's cool.
Maybe I'm wrong though, but I think it does. Yeah, like they have these crossovers every couple of weeks or a couple of months. I think maybe every season.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like Fortnite does it. It's
Mhm.
really smart marketing, I
Yeah.
guess. Because you heard about it, about the Cowboy Bebop thing. So I guess it resonates with people.
Yeah,
We got to get Homelander in there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah,
The
but there,
the only problem with Overwatch is I see this from a lot of people is when there's a crossover announced, everyone's like, "Oh," and then they see it's for Overwatch, and they're like, "Ah."
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
It's also, they would also never add Homelander. They would never add something like edgy or different.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't
it
got the
always has
balls
to
for
be-
that.
That's
to
why
be
it would be
wholesome.
cool. I would love that.
Yeah, that's true. That
would
would
get
be
me in.
amazing. Yeah.
Riley Delete wrote in, "Hey there, Summon Sign Quartet. Just writing in to ask a simple question. How do you feel about class-based shooters? Whether it's Apex, Overwatch, or my favorite, the classic TF2. There seems to be more and more of them. So what makes one good, bad, or enjoyable to you?" Hope you're all enjoying yourselves as we roll into spring. Well, I honestly, for class-based shooters, I thought presentation and the charisma of the characters was very important earlier on. I think of Team Fortress 2 especially.
Yeah.
All those characters are great. They also got their short little videos, and the music is fantastic. The environments are really cool. Like the levels, the maps are really good. Like Gold Rush, man.
You should go back to it. I went back to it like a couple of months ago, and it's unbearable. It's awful.
It's all like bots and shit now.
Yeah. But at
in
the time,
back in the day, it was like the best.
Yeah,
the best. I love that. I played so many hours of that game. So now it's dead. Thanks to bots. Thanks, Gabe.
Well, isn't that also the game that like invented like skins? Or like
kind of
the hats,
the
microtransactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a stain.
Yeah,
but
that's the stain.
Yeah, I don't know. Class-based shooters. I liked TF2, but I was kind of bad at it. Like I was just like not very very good at TF2. I played Scout a lot. And I did okay, but it's just like I could tell that like I would go positive and everything. Like I wouldn't be like the worst player on my team, but I could tell that like my ceiling for that game was a lot lower than it was for other games. I think Overwatch is probably like the next one that I got really into after that. I tried Apex. Apex is good. It's just like the fact that it's a battle royale really puts me off because I don't like the experience of being killed and then being thrown into the menu and then having to matchmake again. Like that is like as a loop doesn't feel satisfying.
I see.
So I've always gravitated more towards like arena style shooters where it's less about class and more about weapons. Although the finals is pretty good. From what I remember playing, I kind of put it down for a while because I was getting burned out on PvP, but I remember really enjoying what the finals had to offer. But yeah,
I've heard nothing but good things about that game.
Yeah,
I've never played it, but yeah, people seem to like it. All right, dudes. Chris, Gears of War, revisiting an old classic right now.
Yeah. Last year really instilled in me the value of pacing in video games with Dead Space Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake. I remember playing those and being just like, wow, these lasted like the exact right amount of time, and they didn't feel bloated and they felt focused and they didn't feel overwhelming. And there's something about them. There's just like, I love this exact pacing. This like 10 to 14 hours, something really manageable. It doesn't stick around for 50 hours like God of War Ragnarok, which, you know, a game I also like, but you know,
I know what you mean.
I like that aspect. So I think what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of going back through some of my back catalog and working my way through games that either I've played before and forgotten a lot of, or just games that I maybe played a little bit of and trying to polish them off. And Gears of War, I definitely beat Gears of War on Insane, and like I think I did the entire trilogy on Insane. I think the first 3, but I haven't played them in quite a while. So I was like, all right, there's backwards compatibility on the Series X. Let me jump in and try and refresh my memory about what this whole thing was about. Because I also feel like it's just kind of an underrated game as far as like the 360 goes. It's strange. It's like one of the big things that you think of when you think of that generation as far as like 360, but it's not talked about in the same way that like, yeah, it's not talked about in the same way that Halo is really like.
You know what I mean? Not Halo.
But I mean, it's big, but like I feel like people have forgot. Like people will be like, oh, yeah, that was like a meathead kind of like meaty,
okay.
You know, it's all gray and like it's just shooting and there's really nothing else. Like whatever.
Sure.
But like I don't know. I've always like really appreciated that series in some way. Like even 4 and 5, which I definitely like less, but like I remember having a good time with it. And so I was like, I'm going to start from the beginning again. And so I picked up the original. Well, I didn't pick it up. I've owned it for a long time, but I started it. And what caught me off guard immediately was just the fact that like, oh, this looks not nearly as bad as I remember, or as I assumed it would. I don't know if that's the Series X pulling a lot of weight, probably with the emulation that they're doing. But it's strange because I'm at an age now where I can remember in high school being like, oh yeah, this game came out 15 years ago, and having like some expectation of what a 15-year-old game looked like in my mind. And today it's like, oh, this looks good still. Like I could, this isn't even jarring in any way. And I'm playing through it, and I'm just kind of struck by the pacing. It's just so perfect. Games of this era, like mid-aughts, just feel so perfectly paced. It doesn't feel like there's any fat. Things move along at like a reasonable pace, but there's still like room for like character development. You get to know these people, and there's a lot of breathing room for that too, because they still have those like sequences where you're like walking from one end of a long place to another, and there's a conversation happening, but then immediately there's like some big fight happening. And sometimes it makes no sense as to why things are happening. Sometimes you're like, oh man, there's like a giant spider creature. It's like, we need the Hammer of Dawn. Oh, good thing it's right there. just sitting. It's like, I really love this, man. Like and that active reload mechanic is something that I totally I kind of forgot about. They have it in Suicide Squad, kind of, actually.
Yeah. They do.
But which was something that I think made me think about it. Was just like, man, I'm sad that this wasn't copied more often or utilized more often, because that is a really fun, dynamic way to add fun to something that is usually kind of mindless. It kind of reminds me of the same way that like Gears of War treats reloading the way Death Stranding treats walking, where like you really have to consider everything, and you have to time things right, and you have to like take into account like what you have and like how much you have to spare and all that stuff. And it's a really well-designed game. And what makes me happy about it too is that I know that these games just get better. Like I loved 2 like wholeheartedly, like with my whole heart. And 3 was a lot of fun too. So it's like knowing that I'm really into this, and knowing that like I don't have that much left of it. It's a quick game, and I can just speed through this entire trilogy in like probably like a week, and really take my time with it and enjoy it. I don't know. I'm just I'm enamored with rediscovering these games, because I probably haven't played the original Gears of War since, God, maybe 2008, maybe 9, maybe. I know I didn't play it before. I didn't play it ever again after Gears of War 2 came out. I know that.
Okay. And
so it's been cool revisiting it. I love these larger than life characters. Coltrane is so fucking fun.
He's awesome.
But yeah, I don't know if I have necessarily too much to say about it. It's a really solid cover shooter. I love the way it's designed. I love the look of the guns. I love the look of everything. It's like stylized. It's in a weird way. Like I remember at the time it was kind of gray.
Yeah.
But it kind of sticks out now with everything, because everything's like a clusterfuck of different collaborations and colors, you know. So it feels kind of refreshing to play games like this. But yeah, dude, and chainsawing through using that chainsaw bayonet is so fucking satisfying.
Yeah, it is.
It's really so crazy. Good. It's truly insane how good that feels still to this day. Because when you go back to old games, you expect them to feel kind of rough in some way, and that's not really what I'm finding with 360, PS3, and onward. I feel like that was like the point where we had enough practice with 3D and gameplay where like even some of the most janky games from that period of time feel like really competently put together and really flow really well. But yeah, I love, there are sequences where you have to like, there are different pathways where you have to like split up and then you converge that I forgot about entirely. It's fun. I'm only like in the first, I'm in the second act now. I've been whittling through it on my nights, but yeah, really, really enjoying my time with Gears of War. I don't know what your guys' experiences with Gears is, but
I've played all of them, and I love Gears of War. I think it's super fun. I think the Locust are some of the coolest villains to fight in games. They feel so good to shoot, dude. Their heads pop so good.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Chainsaw them in half, dude. There's like their limbs are laying all over the place. It's so good. I love all that shit. But yeah, I do miss Gears of War. They definitely need to come back with a new game. I even enjoyed the newer ones for what they were. I mean, you know, it's not Marcus Phoenix and Dom, but it's still fine.
That
Yeah.
Hivebusters expansion for 5 was like better than the whole game. That was one of the
Hive-
best Gears things that they've done since
Damn.
3.
Yeah, Hivebusters was really. I was like really surprised by how good that was.
It had that like fun element that they were kind of like, because it gets super dour and like end of the worldy in 4 and 5, but then that was like fun again.
Yeah.
And it's just like goofy
I remember.
and cool.
I remember my issue with 4 was that there's too many robots. I remember I felt like
I don't like
Yes,
stream
that is an
robots.
it
issue.
doesn't feel good chainsawing through robots.
Yeah, it's not as fun, dude.
As it does like mole men who are saying like grind.
Right, boom, yeah,
Boom.
yeah, they are
So
fun
good.
to kill.
Yeah, they are fun.
Also, the co-op man was next level at the time when those games
Yeah.
came out. It was insane how good that co-op was.
The
Playing with the
split
bud,
path thing was so sick.
Ooh,
with
yeah, the split
friend.
pathing, so good, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
look fondly back at those games, so it's good to hear that they still hold up nicely.
Yeah,
They
I'm
should-
I'm
They
really
should
looking
put them
forward
on
to
Steam.
They
Oh,
should,
sorry.
it baffles me that they haven't done
it's
a
so
collection of some
crazy.
kind. That's
Yeah.
what I mean when I say like it feels underrated to me, because it's just like, why would
Yeah.
you not, as Microsoft, be like, dude, we have really fucking good games here.
Mhm.
Like the Gears 1
Yeah.
through 3 are fucking great. So like the idea that you wouldn't have like a collection in the same way that you have a Master Chief collection is
Yeah.
fucking baffling to me, because I feel like there's a lot to be done there, especially with like the horde modes,
Mhm.
which are, I feel like we're experiencing. I feel like that's what Helldivers really brought out of me, where it's like, man, I really miss these co-op
Yeah.
horde style,
Yeah.
game modes where like it was just all about survival. And Gears 2 did that fucking perfectly. Like I remember playing. I think it was River. I think with like the there was like a little watchtower over a bridge, and there was like a stream underneath it. And I remember like there were these I can't remember what they're called in the game because they're not in the first one, but like they had shields and like a mace that they would swing around.
Yeah.
You would kill them and you would take their shield, and we would like barricade in that building and hold everybody off. And it was just like, this is so satisfying because you know that this is a game of endurance. In 3, they kind of got into this weird like tower defense kind of thing that I didn't really care for. I felt it felt a little bit too like gamey to me, as opposed to like this genuine, crushing, oppressive, like we have to survive and we're scavenging what we can off of, the enemies that we kill. It became more about like, oh, get a headshot and then you get $20 and then you can buy a fucking barbed wire fence or something to put somewhere. And it's just like, I don't need any of that. Give me Gears 2 every time. But yeah, no, that co-op it really, really, really is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, man, now I miss Gears of War, dude. Fuck.
Yeah, I played through them kind of recently for the first time, like when the Xbox Series S came. I guess it's not really recently. I got a Series S and then I bought all 3 games. And then me and my best friend played through all of them in like a week. And
Mhm.
you're really correct that the pacing is perfect and that it's weird that they've kind of let it just go away, because it is one of their best franchises, I think. Even if I don't love 4 and 5, I'm not even a big crossover fan, but being able to play as the like Halo Reach squad in the horde mode in 5, that's like one of the only times a crossover has kind of worked for me. Like they work really well in that world where they can like cut people up and like just be badass.
Yeah.
And Sarah Connor was a bit of a stretch, but like it was still fun.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Gears 3, I didn't realize it was like the not fan favorite, but that game feels like a 3-act movie. It's crazy how cinematic that one is, just from like a graphical standpoint and scale and everything. Like
3 was
crazy.
I remember I think it really is. I really think it just does come down to the changes with Horde, I think, is the reason why I think that game is looked on less fondly, because the story is really good. I love 2 and 3 stories like phenomenally.
3 is like you don't want it to end. Like every time you see a new act, you're like, yes.
Yeah, you don't want 3 to end. 2 has like, I think especially in the Xbox first. Well, I know it's not first party, but like as far as like the big Xbox like games around that time, like Gears of War 2 probably has like the biggest like narrative gut punch that I've ever experienced from them, like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like with Dom and his wife and all that, it's wild how sad that game can be, and still how over the top fun it can be too.
Yeah.
Like they balance like they balance that melodrama so well. And I know that it's like cheesy, I get it. And I know it's like melodramatic, but it works so well.
Yeah.
Like I remember, and there's a lot of horror in it too. There's a sequence in the first game that I totally forgot about. And I remembered immediately because I had this feeling of dread where it's like, oh, fuck, I remember this. This scared the shit out of me when I played it the first time. And it's when you're fighting the berserker, that blind thing in the church or whatever that can only hear you if you move. And it's so good. And then the sires in 2 where you're rolling through that facility and you can only kill them by chainsawing them, basically. Like you can like put enough lead into them, but it's like really dumb of you to do it. So like, yeah, there's a lot about that game that's real. Those games in particular that are just like really, really good. The pacing's good. They balance so much. They balance humor and melodrama and horror so effectively and with such effortlessness that it's kind of wild to play through them, because I feel like a lot of games now kind of struggle to do that. And I'm glad that Resident Evil 4 Remake and Dead Space Remake kind of came out last year to get me like kind of back in touch with like, oh yeah, games didn't have to stay around for like ever. And they could do something really cool and have really cool tones and juggle a lot at once without necessarily feeling bloated or unfocused. But yeah, no, Gears is great.
Hell yeah. Let's talk about another great game, Metroid Prime Remastered. I've been going through this. Last week, Dustin had some harsh words for Metroid Prime Remastered. He is not a fan of the game. So I was like, all right, I'm going to revisit this game. I have not played it since the GameCube days, and I had it on Switch. So I was like, okay, let's revisit this. First of all, this remaster looks very good. I was really impressed about how much they touched up the game and how well it runs. So it's like unbelievably how good they made it look, especially on Switch. You know, Switch is pretty stinky, so they did a good job. Also added some new controls to make it a little more smooth, which is always appreciated. They added like gyro aim, if you want that, which I think is a cool addition. But what I like about, obviously it's a Metroid game, so people have an idea of what kind of game it is in the Metroidvania series or types of games, going through areas, backtracking, getting power-ups, all that's still here. But what I think is really good and was really impressive about the time this game came out, it was first person and how well they managed to bring that genre into third person. Because you think about, like, I love Symphony of the Night. You think about Symphony of the Night, though, it's all just 2D, like, sprites kind of stuff. So it's different going from that to putting you into a 3D space. And reminds me, when I was playing the game, it reminds me a lot of going through, like, a Zelda dungeon in 3D. That, like, the whole game just kind of feels like that. You're going from one area, you're getting a power-up, then you'll return to another area, maybe like that. But it's been really good so far. The music is also just top tier. The ambiance that games has is insane. I can't even describe how the feeling that game gives me when I listen to it. It's just so good. I will say though, Dustin had huge problems with backtracking, and I will say I ran into one part that was kind of annoying. Like I had to do like 10 minutes of backtracking, which is, it felt pretty long in this game, because especially like other Metroidvania games, when you think about them, there's warp points you can get to, like you can warp, so you can just get like shortcuts. Prime doesn't really have any of that right now. There's just elevators at certain parts in the level, so you'd have to run all the way to a spot, then take that elevator, then probably run to all the way another spot to take that elevator. So it can get kind of brutal, I guess, the backtracking in some regards, but I don't think it's like egregious where I'm like getting frustrated. But it's more just like, it's a little too long kind of thing. But the gunplay actually feels really good still. You know, Samus, she's got her cannon. Of course, you can charge that cannon up, getting power-ups like that. The rockets, the missiles, fun shooting at little bug freaks like that. Has all the staples I love. You know, doors locked by certain things. You got to get the power-up to open that up. All the good stuff. But the environments are also really varied and different from each other. Like one is like a Chozo ruins with like sand and everywhere, and like dead trees kind of littering the area with like old ruins. And one of them is really like an ice area with frozen water and just like huge floating ice cubes that you can jump on and all that stuff. Then another one's you're like underground and like it looks like hell with lava going everywhere. And there's like these freaking weird dragon heads that come out and shoot fire at you. It's all really good shit. And what's important in a Metroidvania, I think, is the upgrades feeling powerful and meaningful when you get them. Because they do in this one, like even rock missiles alone was very nice to have. Because some spots you need multiple missiles, like for some bosses you do. There's some platforming or some environmental stuff you need missiles for. But there was one part I got really annoyed at the game was there's this room where you have to climb up like these structures as you go up. But to able to climb higher, you need to destroy beams, like construction beams.
Okay.
So you have to use your missiles only to destroy those. They take like 3 missiles. And you got to do like 12 of these things or something like that, a lot. So I would run out of missiles, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go out and get more missiles and come back, and I'll get the rest. No, the structure just rebuilds itself magically for some reason. So therefore, I had to go out and try to find missile upgrades. Thankfully, it didn't take me too long, but it's just a very annoying thing. Is like, I blew this fucking thing off the wall with a missile, and it just came back immediately when I left the room. It's just like some kind of old design that really annoyed me about it. But the power-ups have been great. Like the beams you get, one of the earlier beams you get is really cool. It's like this purple, pink kind of beam that when you shoot it, shoots out like spirals. And it can like stun enemies. So you can charge that up, stun them, then shoot a couple missiles at them, which is great. Got the ice beam also, which is fun. You know, shooting, freezing guys, hit them out of the air. And the double jump is great. Classic double jump. And the ball works really well in this game, the morph ball. What's impressive about it is the game is in first person, but when you do the morph ball, it kind of zooms out to third person so you can see the ball rolling around. But how it does it is so seamless and impressive, especially for the time. I just am like shocked how well they managed to craft this on a GameCube game. But yeah, I'm still going through it. I think it's an excellent video game. Excellent game if you like Metroid games. I think you should definitely check it out, especially because most Metroidvania games are 2D. I think you should really try a 3D one like this. It's really awesome. It's really good. There's some nice quality of life features in this one. It's a cheaper Nintendo game. It's $40, not 60. So I highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I just played it this last summer, and the visual upgrade's insane. Like,
yeah,
it looks like a new game, and the fact that it runs at a lock 60, doesn't have dynamic res, like it's just a really good game for the Switch. When I feel like it really needs like good looking games, because every time a new Switch game comes out, it's like the biggest criticism is always how they look. So that's a really good counter for it. I hope they do the other two.
Me too. What I do like about the game also is it's very quiet. There's not a lot of people. There's like no one talking to you in this game, like ever.
Yeah.
There's like no VO really going ever,
text.
you know. Yeah, that's just cool. Texts every now and then, but no one like going in here like, Samus, we gotta get the fuck out of here or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a very quiet game and a very isolating game, which I think's exactly what Metroid is, and it nails it.
It's cool how you can see your eyes on the visor too when you shoot some of the weapons. I thought that was sweet.
That is a very nice touch. Oh, yeah, the HUD.
Why didn't Dustin like it?
He didn't like the backtracking. He thought it was kind of annoying.
Oh, okay.
As far as I'm aware. But
do you agree? You don't agree?
I don't agree as much as him. I think there's a couple annoying parts, but not nearly enough to write off the game as hard as he has. Like, I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10 game, but it's definitely like a 9, in my opinion. Still an excellent video game.
And he hated it?
I don't know if he hates it. It was his hot take. We had to do like hot takes last episode or something about games. Okay. So he did that one, and people were not happy.
Good. Did people give him shit?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, anytime Dustin gets shit, Locke is pleased.
Makes me happy.
Yeah. Let's see. Sean Sanderud wrote in, "Hey, Summoners. I never played Metroid Prime on its initial release, but completed the remaster last year. I have no idea why this game is so beloved. I usually really enjoy Metroidvania-style games, but the backtracking in Prime was so frustrating, and I found the game generally really dull. I had hoped it would improve as the game went on, but it never did for me. Please educate me on why this game is a masterpiece. Thanks." Well, I mean, that's okay if you don't like it, but I think I don't think the game's dull at all, honestly. I think there's a lot going on. It's not necessarily in the sense of like sensory overload, like shit's popping off constantly, you know, like fucking numbers flying up and all that kind of dopamine stuff, maybe.
Right.
It's a very intimate and can be slow paced game that you're meant to go at your own pace. So if you're like looking, and it's about figuring stuff out, you know, you're in this giant maze essentially and you're figuring it out. It's about doing that. And if you don't like sitting in a room for a little bit, just trying to think about what to do or where to go, if you're lost and you get frustrated, I could see that really bothering people. But for me, I really enjoy that kind of stuff. And I like putting together the puzzle, I would guess you would say, of unraveling everything.
This reminds me of a write-in that I got a long time ago on Snark Tank, the other podcast I do, where somebody was like, hey, I'm like 40 or like I'm 30 hours into Red Dead 2. Like when am I going to start liking it? I'm like, you don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like it.
You don't like it. It's fine. Like you
It's
don't
like halfway
have
through
to
the game.
Yeah, like you don't have to you don't have to like everything. Like just because
okay.
it's all right for things to be beloved and for them to not necessarily appeal to you. There's so much subjectivity in this, and there's so many different types of games that like it's even for somebody to be like, oh yeah, I like video games. Like it's almost such a non-statement in the first place, because what is that? Is that Gwent? Is that Candy Crush? Is that Death Stranding? Is that Overwatch? There's so many different types of experiences here that like, yeah, I mean, there are going to be things that are kind of going to be universally understood to be beloved that aren't going to hit with you. I mean, Final Fantasy was that for me for a long time, where I was just like, I don't think these are bad at all, because I could never say that.
Yeah.
But like they're clearly designed for people who have a different preference.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You don't have to force yourself into everything.
Yeah, Sean, I think you bring up some decent points. I think if they had fast travel between some areas a lot, that would have helped a lot of the backtracking for people. But it's not huge a detriment to me, like I was saying, where it's like ruins the game for me or anything like that. It's more of a minor inconvenience is how I look at it.
Sometimes it also... sorry. You wanna go?
No, go ahead.
Sometimes it just takes the right game too for the genre. Like there's a ton of games. Like my favorite series is Resident Evil, but I started with 4, right? So I really like the remakes. I like 2 and 3 remake. I love the remake of 4. I love 5, 6 is whatever. But then I always tried to go back and play the originals because, you know, it's like my favorite series, and I could never get my head around the controls. But then last year, a year ago, I played Signalis, which is like this cheap $15 isometric horror game that's in the style of Resident Evil, but it eases you into it, like control wise and everything, and how all the mechanics work and the puzzle solving. And then I went back and played Resident Evil 2 like 6 months later, and the knowledge from playing Signalis kind of just made it super simple for me. And then I blew through 3, went right to like Code Veronica. It was totally seamless once I had that game. And Final Fantasy is very similar, where it just wasn't the right time every time I picked it up and put it down. But then sometimes it just clicks. And there's a ton of games like that, like Dishonored. I started that game when it came out and I fucking hated it. And then one day I just sat down, saw it on my Steam library, started it up. I blew through that game in like 2 days. It just like clicks with you. I don't know what it is, but sometimes
you have
it's
to
timing.
you have to find things at the right time as well. Because I definitely do notice that. Like, because I even when I picked up Death Stranding and loved it immediately, I knew that like I loved it. I knew I was into Death Stranding in the first like 10 minutes. Yeah. But like I could tell that like if I was just in a different headspace, even just a few months ago, this would have really not been even anything that I would have. That happened to me with Prey as well, where I picked up Prey the first time, the reboot of Prey. That is not
the arcane one.
The arcane one, the one that has nothing to do with like the Native American first person shooter from like the 2006 or whatever. But I picked that up because everybody was talking about how good it was, and I was like, I don't get this at all. And I was playing it like you would play Fallout or something. You know what I mean? I was just like, I don't fucking understand this. This feels janky and wrong. And so I put it down, and then years later, like probably like 5 years later, I picked up the System Shock demo, because there's a System Shock remake that had like a demo that they put out, and I was like, oh yeah, I've heard about this. I know that it's like the progenitor of like BioShock and all that. So I picked it up, and I was like, oh, this is an immersive sim. And then it's like, oh, this is what Prey's trying to do.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Prey and I was like, oh, this is actually fucking incredible. Prey is crazy how good Prey actually is.
Yeah, I need to play it.
The
But
ending
it's-
is nuts. Like,
One of the best tutorials ever.
Yeah, but yeah, playing System Shock and I had the same exact Signalis experience as you did, where it's like it just sort of eases you into things. It's like, here's how inventory management works, and here's kind of the lay of what you're trying to do, and here's how all these systems intertwine, and you can actually kind of do whatever you want because the systems are built this way. And it's like, oh, it clicks. And sometimes you just need that, and sometimes you don't get that for a while, but yeah.
And it is a good shotgun, like a really, really good shotgun.
Yeah.
How long is it? How long is Metroid? How long did it take you?
Well, I'm not done yet. Let me see. I think it's like 10 to 12.
Okay. Well, hey, you, Jimmy, how long did it take you?
10 or so.
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah.
Okay.
I blew through it in
might
like 2 days.
Perfect.
Okay, nice.
I played it on the
but
TV.
it's only on Switch.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can emulate it
no.
pretty easily. Like
It's
there's
illegal.
yeah, I know. You can get an emulator called Prime Hex that's like built around it and it fixes the controls and everything.
Cool. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like it. All right. Let's hear from James Solar. Hello, Brad, Locke, Chris, and Jimmy. I hope that when discussing Metroid Prime Remastered, you talk about how Dustin is wrong. It is one of the all-time greats in my eyes. Even the original
Nice.
GameCube version holds up great. I specifically love the atmosphere and how the whole world feels alive. Looking forward to the show. Best, James S. Well, fear not, James. We talked shit on Dustin, so don't worry about it.
Locke is here. He had it covered.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I completely agree with James. I think Dustin is an idiot too. Absolutely.
All right, boys. It's time for Sort It Out. On this segment, we just complain about something in the game industry that needs some fixing. Something that's bugging us. Game, company, person? I don't know. Whatever comes to your head or comes up in your mind.
Yeah. I got one immediately.
All right, Chris.
WB.
Oh, yeah.
Sort it out. Figure
that shit
your
out.
shit out. I don't know how Suicide Squad got to the place that it got. I don't know why you have a game like Hogwarts Legacy and then you're kind of talking about it's like, well, we should really double down on some live service stuff actually. After Suicide Squad just completely fucked itself up. I just feel like they're just a strange company to me and they're in a weird state of flux where like I feel like they could be a lot better than they are, but they're just like shooting themselves in the foot or getting in their own way. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But they really seem to me like an entity that's gotta figure shit out quick.
Yeah.
That's a
Definitely.
good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
You guys have one?
Yeah.
Mine is. Oh, you go.
No,
ahead.
you go.
first.
You go, Locke. I
Oh,
keep interrupting
Well,
you.
mine is the same as the Keep It Up one. I have the same company for both.
Okay.
Mm.
And that is GSC Game World. They're called, and those are the developers of Stalker and Stalker 2, and they did a great thing. They dropped Stalker on consoles, which is amazing. They just dropped it out of nowhere, which is very, very commendable to them because those games are amazing. Those games are also awesome, but they're also not so good because they dropped Stalker on consoles and they didn't do any marketing around it. These games are amazing and everyone should play them, but nobody knows about them now. It took me like literally 4 minutes to find them on the PS4 store. You can look them up if you type in, or at least in Europe. I don't know how it is in the US. I assume it's the same. If you look up Stalker in the PSN store, you just get the first game, or you get the second game, or you get the third game, and they all cost $20. But I know for a fact that they released like a package where you could buy all three of them for like $40, I think. I just couldn't find it. I had to literally go to Google, type it in there, and then it brought me to a link where I could grab it there. And I remember the first day it was out, I could find it because it was on the front page, like on the home page. But then the second day, when it wasn't on there anymore, I could only find the individual games. So I bought it on console through that link. I already had it on PC, but I always buy games twice. So
Yeah.
I guess
Well, they didn't
guess I
add
did it
the
again.
controller support to PC. They didn't update
No.
the PC one. So that's
Yes.
like worth owning
Exactly.
because it looks like a
Exactly.
cool little revamp.
Yeah, and I also
when you
wanted
play
to
that.
really try it on console. But the thing that was baffling to me is these games are so good. They have a sequel coming out that's going to Game Pass, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I
Yes.
think it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they had no marketing for it. It's not their fault. Xbox should have done this. Xbox should have marketed this because PlayStation did absolutely nothing. Nobody even knew it was on there, I guess. But it wasn't that Xbox showcase or whatever
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
called it, developers, whatever. But they just dropped it. They didn't do anything with it. Like they should have marketed it a little bit better and like told people that the sequel was coming out. Or of course we know, and like everybody who listens to this knows, but like the normal people who don't really follow, well, I guess they don't watch that conference either. But I would have loved to see some marketing for these games because they're amazing.
Yeah, they're
And
so
everyone
good.
should and everyone should give them a chance. But right now, I don't know how they're selling, but I assume they're not selling very well. So I put up GSC Game World twice, but I don't think it's their fault really because I don't think they do their own marketing, and they're amazing for making these games, so they're awesome. But someone made a big mistake here.
Yeah, totally. Jimmy, what about you?
My sorted out is Square Enix. Sort
Oh.
out your PC ports, please.
Oh.
My God, they're so bad.
That's
I
true.
mentioned that I played Remake on the Steam Deck, which runs great, right? Like once you get it set up, which is a pain in the ass because you have to download a mod that makes it run in DirectX 11, and
Oh,
you got to
man.
like do some texture shit where you drag a file to a folder, and sometimes the folder's not there, so you got to create it, and then you do that with the like little touchpads on the Steam Deck, and like yes, it took 5 minutes, but it's so crazy the state of this port. It doesn't even have a VSync option, so you have to enable it through like NVIDIA Shadowplay. And if you don't run it in DirectX 11, it stutters so bad, like it's
Oh my gosh.
unreal.
Oh damn!
And then I saw today their like weird cryptic message around the Final Fantasy 16 PC port. They're like, it's not coming in a year. It's not coming in 2 years. It's coming soon-ish. So just be excited for that.
Yeah,
And I'm like, because there's a lot of games like, Dragon's Dogma or whatever, Dragon's Dogma 2, where you see it's running at 30 FPS on console. And then I see all these replies that are like, oh, I'm going to play it on PC. And it's like, no, even if you play it on PC, there's going to be problems. Like if it's running at 30 on console and they don't have performance or quality, clearly there's like an engine problem or something that's holding the game down.
Right.
Like that still extends to PC. It's not like the PC is the magic bullet to run every game at 60, because a lot of the time the problems that the game has on console extend to PC and are worsened, like in Dead Space, how you get like a little bit of traversal stutter on PS5, like it's barely noticeable, but on PC it's like horrific. It can drop down to like 5 frames per second. So like even if you're running the game at a locked 60 with better effects, you still get the same problems at the end of the day. So but yeah, I'd love to see Square Enix either like, they're in with Sony, right? Like Sony's paying for exclusivity on Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and 16. Let them utilize Nixes, or let them utilize these people that they sent over to like make the dual sense do the haptic feedback. Like they have a team working on that. It's like if you're working with this developer and you're paying for their game at some capacity, like give them some of your PC support, because like, yeah, I'd love to play these games on PC and not have to, go through a bunch of bullshit to do it, especially when they're $70 still.
Because Final Fantasy VII Remake's an Unreal Engine game.
Yeah.
So I know that has PC problems, but 16 is not an Unreal Engine game.
Right. So I'm not like, if I go back to that game, I'll just play it where I bought it on PlayStation, because I just know it's going to be a whole thing, But
man, I'm worried about Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, the more I see about it, I'm like, I'll see how it runs when it comes out. But
yeah, like I'm not pre-ordering it. I'll say
unlocked frame rate on console really bugs me. Just lock it at 30.
Looks amazing though.
I know
it's going to be a 10 out of 10, but I'm not pre-ordering the PC version right away in case it sucks.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Because I know console will at least still be 30 and suck enough there.
Right, because
Like,
it's
you
an
know, if I-
unlocked 30. That's the
Yeah,
problem. It's like
that's a problem. Unlocked, yeah.
it can run from like 22 to 38, and
Oh my
then you'll
gosh.
notice every single frame.
Yeah,
I hate that.
that's
I'd
not
rather
ideal.
just have it V-synced at 30.
That's true.
Jesus. Now I'm
Sorted
sad.
out PC ports in
Yeah.
general.
Fucking
Well,
hell.
we don't know yet. It could
Yeah.
be okay on PC.
It could be
Capcom,
okay.
like,
They-
you could give
they
them the
released
benefit of the
that,
doubt, right? Like,
They
their
have
ports
okay
have been
PC ports.
perfect for years.
They already released their character creator, and it runs well. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should do that. I forgot about that.
First
it's
game
cool.
runs
It's
pretty
really
good
cool.
on Steam Deck. It was like a lock 60.
Yeah. Well, it's fucking PS3 game
Yeah.
better.
You'd be surprised though. Some games where you're like, oh, this will run on Steam Deck. And then you play it and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening?
For me, I guess, dude, Chris, you brought this up earlier. Just sort it out. Microsoft, get Gears on like Steam at least or something.
Yeah.
Get those other games on there, guys. Come on, let's get a collection going. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of collections that they're kind of just
Yeah.
not doing for no reason. Like, especially what confuses me most is that like they're working on new games in these franchises. Like
Yeah.
I know they're working on another Gears.
Yeah,
They're clearly working on another Fable. What?
Yeah,
What are you
Fable
doing?
2. Fable 2 is still 30 FPS. Like the other two got like the 60 FPS boost, but Fable 2 is still 30 FPS even on Xbox.
Yeah, which is a shame because Fable 2 is personally my favorite of those.
Yeah.
same.
dog.
And
Same.
and it's just like I don't know. It's just strange to me that you wouldn't want to why wouldn't you want these games to be like playable in some way? You're like
Yeah,
you're really foregoing a lot of your history, and it's your history of like the best time of your ecosystem. Like I don't know why you wouldn't want to capitalize on that in some way, because these are great games.
yeah.
I didn't like Fable 3 personally, but like you know,
No. All right.
What do you think? Do you have high hopes for the third one? Sorry,
the what the new Fable.
the fourth one. Yeah, do you
I'm
think it's
really-
going to be good?
I'm just really fucking curious about it. Like, I think I'm just excited to see a studio that has no experience doing that kind of game try it. Like, that's what really has me
Mhm.
captivated by it. Like, it's my most anticipated game from them, specifically for that reason, because it reminds me a little bit of when Guerrilla shifted from what is it, Killzone to Horizon,
Yeah.
where I was
Yeah.
just like, this could be like a potential big deal, and they could potentially
Yeah.
like hit it out of the
Yeah.
park, or they could fail spectacularly. Like, who the fuck knows? But I'm really, really interested in how that game turns out. Just out of sheer curiosity.
All right, we got some sort outs from the listeners. This is from John Cole McCormick. Hey, Brad, I've got to sort it out. My sorted out is for you. I was listening to last week's show while driving home when suddenly you made the outrageous claim that Kingdom Hearts is basically Yakuza, and Sora from Kingdom Hearts with his comedy clown feat is in some way analog to our Lord and Savior Kiryu Kazuma. I was so horned that I nearly lost control of my car and drove into the ravine. Brad, dude, you got to sort that shit out. You could kill someone. All right, John, let me address this real quick. I was referring to how it's been a long, continuous story. Kingdom Hearts games are a connecting story that continue on. Yakuza games do the same exact thing. Sora was the first character you play as, so was Kiryu Kazuma. That's what I was getting at. Nothing more. I know they are not alike in any other way, so stand down. All right, this is from J. Tem Ulovic. Probably butchered that, but here we go. Gentlemen, I have a sorted out, if I may. Sorted out Chadley and Maya. Just because you have my number doesn't mean you need to call me every time I encounter something in the open world or talk to me over my fights. Please text me so I can leave you on red like everyone else. There you go.
I'm like worried about Chadley now, dude, because I didn't think he was that bad in remake. He's where you need him.
No,
to be.
he's cool in remake. He's just around a lot. In
Oh
Rebirth.
man, I don't like his voice.
Oh man.
Annoying. It's like, hey, Cole.
This is from Matari Jaguar. Hey, Chadley Ellis, Chris Sith, Tifa Lockmort, and Jimmy Chocobo. I have a sorted out I've been thinking about for years now. How does Bethesda make Skyrim one of the best Western RPGs of all time and still not have the next Elder Scrolls game out 13 years later. It wouldn't even be out for several more years. I know they have made other games, but this feels like one of the biggest fumble the bag type of decisions in video game industry. Thanks for reading my question. I always love Frame Trap, so I'm stoked we get Summon Sign every damn week. Yes. Skyrim came out 13 years ago. I feel like the biggest game on the planet, and we have not gotten the sequel to that.
That's easy. That's because they're making the next one the best game ever, and that takes a while.
I hope so, because
I hope so.
Fallout
Don't
4
have to hope
wasn't.
so. They're not gonna do it.
Fallout 4 wasn't. Starfield wasn't. I don't know, man.
So
they're getting
the
close.
next
3
Elder
strikes
Scrolls
are
is.
out. Getting close.
Yeah.
I don't
We'll
trust
see.
Todd. I can't trust the man.
Wow.
Starfield burned you that bad, huh?
Starfield, there's a clip of it I was streaming at the time, dude. My final moments with that game was I was in a building on like the cyberpunk planet or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was just in there and I had to like pickpocket something or whatever. So I pickpocket from this guy's pocket. He's like at his desk or whatever. And he has an assistant. And his assistant is staring right at me, like eyes locked. And I'm just pickpocketing him. And she's just standing there doing nothing, does nothing. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. I go out down below the floor, like their little factory area.
Yeah.
I shoot a character right in the face. Nothing happens. Nothing. No impact. No
Yeah.
alarm. Nothing. I shoot another guy. Nothing. Nothing. No one is reacting. I'm shooting people in the face and no one is reacting. Not even the people getting shot in the face. And I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I wasting my time with this fucking game when here's the big problem. I played Phantom Liberty right before it.
Oh no!
And I was
that'll
like-
ruin
Yeah.
it. It's
I was like, all right, dude,
completely
I'm
different.
out. I'm
Yeah.
out of here, dude. And I didn't like the space exploration at all. I thought it was pretty boring.
Yeah. I keep
the
saying I'm going
planets
to
were
come
pretty
back
boring.
to it after it's done or whatever, like Cyberpunk, but I don't think they can fix what I don't like about it, which is like not being
Yeah.
able to just walk around and find
Yeah.
cool shit. You know, like that's why I like Fallout and Elder Scrolls. But-
Yeah, it's just
It's a very different game from those games in like more than one way.
it just felt 10 years old when I was playing
But
it.
that's what they did. Do you guys remember Daggerfall? Have you ever played Daggerfall?
I haven't played it,
Is
no.
Bring it back.
No, I haven't played it. Yeah.
Starfield is basically Daggerfall. It's the same thing. It's like the entire continent that you just fast travel
Mm-hmm.
from thing to thing, and everything is procedurally generated and looks kind of crappy, and it's not very fun. So it's basically Daggerfall, but that's where they went wrong, I think, too. Because beforehand, they said they were going back to Oblivion, which is one of my favorite games of all time. So I was very stoked for Starfield. That was my most anticipated game since Baldur's Gate 3, I guess. Well, they were on the same level, but they completely fumbled it there because they took away the thing that made those games special, which was the exploration. So you're just left with dead NPCs staring at you, like you said, you're
Lifeless.
You're
Yeah.
straight-
So creepy
Yeah.
looking.
soulless.
Man,
Yeah.
I went outside in the big city and was shooting my machine gun up in the air and just nothing. I was like,
Yeah.
what's happening? I was like, this has to be a bug or something. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll come back maybe when they do a good expansion or something. So
But you also didn't like Fallout 4?
I liked Fallout 3 and I didn't like Fallout 4 that much.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the base building shit in Fallout 4 was really boring and
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
I didn't
intrusive.
even bother with it.
And I didn't really like the story of 4 either. I gotta find
Yeah.
my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main story of 4 is really stupid.
Oh.
I liked Fallout 4 for like ambient reasons. Like
Yeah,
I liked moving through that world and like doing like the side. I mean, I guess that's true for every Bethesda game. Really, the side stuff is really
Is always the best. Yeah.
it's always the best
Yeah.
stuff because like I really loved Fallout 4. I had a blast with specifically because of that Silver Shroud. There's the Silver Shroud quest line is so stupid and it's
Funny. Yeah.
it's so entertaining. I think it's not as good of an RPG as like 3 or New Vegas, but the 4
That's
has
true.
some value. And I heard I never actually played Far Harbor, but I heard Far Harbor was really good.
I never
Yeah.
played any
Amazing.
DLC.
Far Harbor's
so-
sweet.
The storyline there is amazing. Yeah, they really went hard with
more
the story.
RPG,
We're
like-
getting the next gen version hopefully in April. So
Yeah, when I think you know
Oh,
it's
that's
so
probably when they
long
show.
ago. It's like just fucking do the patch.
They'll-
I don't know what's
they'll
going
do it
on.
they'll do it when the show drops. But
I really
there was
like
also
4.
yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, There was also a rumor that we were getting a remake of 3.
Yeah.
Remember,
that's
like
true.
in the
yeah,
in
that
the
was
NVIDIA
leaked,
leaks?
right? That was
The NVIDIA leaks.
yeah.
I really like
Still
the
waiting on it.
building in 4. I know everyone hates the building, but like I really engaged with it. I kind of role played in a way where I was like, all right, Red Rocket's going to be my base. Everything for the whole game, everything's going back there. And I would build it out, make my little defenses, and then
Yeah.
I got like so addicted to Fallout 76 with my friends. That was another one like Overwatch. I couldn't think of it, where it's like it was such a bad game for so long, but like I played it with 3 of my best friends and we loved it. And yeah, just the way they built out the camp system in that game was actually got really cool, like where you could build full on vaults and everything. And
Nice.
that was the way I role played. But yeah, dude, the story in 4, I don't think I ever beat it. And that's one of my most, like, Locke's played 1,500 hours of Left 4 Dead. I think I have about the same in Fallout 4. I'm just wandering.
Wow.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And you haven't beat it?
Never beat the story.
I
I tried.
It makes it worse.
Dude, when you go see Sean and you're like, he's like this old man and you're like, Sean?
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. I hate Sean.
You-
He sucks.
Yeah.
You,
I remember in the beginning of Fallout 4 seeing my baby get taken and being like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I? This is my new life.
It's so anticlimactic. Like you're like, oh man, finally gonna find my family. Then your kid's just this like asshole old
It
man.
feels so. It just feels so fucking silly. Like the entire like the in the grand scheme of everything, your wife is dead. You know, your baby got stolen, and the world is over. I mean, to be frank, you don't know that baby.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean,
Go have fun. Go be a raider.
there's demons running around. There's all sorts of shit. It's like, that's probably like the least of my concerns. If I'm waking up like however long later in like a cryopod, it's just like, as far as I know, like I've been in there for like 200 years and it's completely irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That whole conceit for Fallout 4 felt ridiculous.
but that was the whole point of the game, right? Like you weren't supposed to know you were in there longer. Like you were as the player, you were supposed to think like, oh, I woke up like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
But remember when the game came out, there were these leaks everywhere, and they leaked the audio before, and so everyone already knew that Sean was an old man, which kind of ruined it. Maybe I think for a lot of people, or it ruined it for me anyway, because I thought the story was stupid too because of that. But I think that you weren't supposed to know that your kid got older when you started.
I think I just assumed that was going to be true because why would they even bother taking him in the first place? You know what I mean? Like the very idea that would be happening in the narrative at all would be it's like Chekhov's baby.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't put a stolen baby in a movie if it wasn't going to come back in some way later.
Yeah,
and
it comes
it's certainly
back
not
in
going to
just
be
the
a
lamest
kid.
way. It'd be cool.
It's just like, I'm old, the worst. And it's like, cool.
There's like a quarry. There's like a big quarry in that game right by the Red Rocket, and I use that as body storage. And it had the like same problem as Skyrim, where it would remember the bodies were all fucking down there, and it would make your game run worse.
Yeah, to get
Look
close.
down there, and it just be this like pit.
That's
bodies.
awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. Starfield was. I actually liked Starfield for what it was. Like it definitely wasn't like game of the year. By
It's fun to
stretch of
play.
the
Like
universe.
I think the combat is meaningfully improved from Fallout 4 specifically.
Oh yeah,
I think it's just heavily lifted for me because I really love NASA and like that type of sci-fi like really grabs me. Like like the grounded stuff. Like I like Mass Effect stuff and I like Mass Effect as well. But like that definitely like Mass Effect is like skirting the line of like it's getting almost too magical for me for me to consider it like sci-fi. So to see like real spacesuits and like being able to build your ship and like allocate resources and like kind of build bases on other planets and they're completely barren. Like there was like a soothingness for me to just being on like a barren planet and just kind of sort of like looking at the sky. Like I really liked it, but it was just not. It wasn't what they built it up to be by any stretch of the imagination. And I think I have a little bit more faith in Elder Scrolls just because I feel like they have a pretty good handle on what to do with that. Skyrim is still super fucking playable. To this day, especially like I didn't bring this up, but like I've been doing this survival mode in Skyrim because I felt like the only way that I would really get into Skyrim again, having played it so much, is if I had to like impose certain rules on myself like that, and it totally worked. Like
cool.
Having to worry about eating and like, oh, I have to cook my food because if I don't cook it, I'll get sick.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
Fallout 4 is a good one
fast travel.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in Skyrim, in that mode, it's really cool that there's no fast travel, right?
Yeah.
Because normally when you play Skyrim, you just fast travel all over the place, like in Starfield. But in that survival mode, you have to use the horse to get everywhere. So you really have to plan it out, your routes, which makes it so
that
much
is
more
really
fun.
cool.
Which means you can't have a survival mode in Starfield.
Yeah.
Run out of gas, you're dead.
All right, boys, it's time for the exact opposite. Keep it up. Who are we pleased with in the games industry? Who's doing it right?
I am pleased with Capcom, personally.
Yes, the old
Loved.
reliable Capcom.
Their renaissance has been awesome. I remember playing Resident Evil 2 Remake. I got it early, which was cool. That was a rarity. And just playing it. And I had built it up so much in my head that I was like, there's no way they can hit my expectations. It's everything I want it to be. It's set in like the 90s. It's set around a Halloween. You know, it's like this rookie cop. He's kind of just coming into hell and everything. There's no way they'll nail it. And like, they didn't just nail it, they exceeded it. Love that. Then Devil May Cry 5. It was a series completely foreign to me at the time, and loved that game. That game's music and art direction and just like its sense of coolness was awesome. RE3 Remake, I get the hate, but it was just a cool little like action focused thing as a side story to Resident Evil 2 Remake, and it pulls in a lot from a lot of horror movies I like Halloween 2, the whole ending being set in this creepy hospital. It's just like there's a whole sequence where you're running through the creepy hospital in Resident Evil 3 Remake, and there's some like Night of the Living Dead or Day of the Dead stuff where you're defending the lobby of the hospital and everything. And I like Jill a lot. I think she's kind of underserved in the Resident Evil lore. And then Resident Evil 4 Remake, that's my favorite game of all time. I was like, you know, I'll like it, I won't love it. Not only did they like exceed my expectations again, but like the way they rearranged some of the story bits made them hit so much harder with like some of the stuff towards the end with Ashley and Leon both being infected, and they worked in Leon kind of, you know, everyone he like tries to save basically dies for the first half of the series, and he's able to kind of overcome that with Ashley, which I thought was awesome. So yeah, there's just a really good consistent studio or a publisher again, specifically with Resident Evil and Devil May Cry. I'm holding out hope, like we said earlier, for Dragon's Dogma. I'm going to try and look past the performance issues, but like after beating the first game for the first time, I can see why they waited so long to make a sequel and why I think this one is going to be the like kind of game that they were trying to make back then. So
yeah,
they should keep it up. They're doing cool stuff.
Yeah, I think I would say keep it up, Arrowhead.
Yeah,
I feel like they're doing a good job. I know they had that controversial meta patch, but like I don't know, man. Like in when you compare it to some of the stuff that we talked about today with like Overwatch, it's like I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the way they're going around updating the game and teasing updates and all that stuff is really fucking cool. The way that just the way that they have people or certain maps where, oh hey, here's their mechs in this game session, you want to test it out, or the buggy kind of being teased in the way that it is, and the way that they're like, oh, they're locking certain updates behind like progress on certain planets. I think it's cool. Like I think the way that they're handling it is really, really perfect, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, they're great.
Walk. Yeah.
Well, I already did mine, right? I had GCS.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did.
Game
You had both.
Yeah.
That leaves me then, I guess.
DSC.
You know, I haven't played it, but keep it up, Vanillaware. Unicorn Overlord looks really good. I'm really into that game. I love strategy games. I love Vanillaware games, so it seems right up my alley. Bad time for it to come out, but the game looks real good. So keep it up, Vanillaware. You're a great dev. All right, we got some from the audience. The Sickness wrote in. Good day to you sacred summoners. I just want to suggest a keep it up to Hello Games and their unwavering support of No Man's Sky. Sean Murray and his band of merry men and women could have just made the game work after it tore to release and left it alone, but they haven't. After 27 named updates over the last 7.5 years, they have successfully turned what could have been a studio-destroying game into an incredible behemoth of an experience. a game that deserves more love and attention from the masses than it gets. A beautiful example of a studio that shows true love for their creation. For me, a wonderful palate cleanser that after clocking 400 hours, I will always return to in between big releases that I play. If you haven't tried it for yourself recently, I highly suggest giving it a go, Brad. Keep crushing it, dude. I have played No Man's Sky. It was good. I'm just not in the mood for a space crafting game at this moment in time. But yeah, it's very good, and they have done an excellent job of updating that game, which is unreal how much they've updated it for like free a lot of this too. So it's very awesome. So I'm glad they did, because the way they sold that game to people and people's expectations was insane.
I knew something was up too so immediately. Like it's one of those instances where like I feel like my sixth sense was like perfect, because I remember they showcased that game. I was like, we got like all these planets and they're fully rendered and you can travel to them in real time and you can go from ground to space seamlessly and you can do all this stuff. And I'm like, we don't even have we can't even make a 1-to-1 replication of like New York City that's fun without without shrinking it and sacrificing parts of it to make it reasonable. So like, how the fuck is this gonna? It feels like we're skipping many steps that seem a little bit more integral to making this vision work. And totally right, especially because like every single trailer after that was the same trailer basically. It's like you land on a thing and like here's a blue creature and then they leave again and then bye. It's just like, all right, something look at it. Something stinks with this. But yeah, I've heard that it's gotten a lot better. I'm just generally like that game always impressed me more on a technical level than it did as like something that I would want to meaningfully engage with. Like I love the idea of, seamless space travel. Like it's cool, but I feel like in reality for me, like it wouldn't be all that fun. It's kind of why I was a lot more okay with certain elements of Starfield being like, fast travel is annoying, I get it, but like I don't really have any interest in flying from one planet to another. Like it's cool tech, but I really could give a fuck about like as far as like a gameplay thing for me. But
yeah, fair. This is from Willie Olmstead. Hey, Summoners. I have to give a keep up to Capcom for the insane-looking character creators for Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Creating characters from other games was a thing in Elden Ring, but in Dragon's Dogma, somehow the characters around look like they were maybe by the devs. They're so good they maybe look like they're made by the devs. Have you seen the Timothy Chalamet one? How much time do you spend creating your character for games like this? Thanks, and have a good one. The character creator is insane for some. I've seen some really good shit and some horrible abominations, as you do with all things on the internet. So all is going according to plan. In terms of spending time on character creators, I usually don't spend that long. I'm like, just kind of fucking play him at this point. I'll give my guy like a fucking scar or some shit like that.
I always do the eye scar. Like,
give him some scars. He's been fucked up.
Brown hair, brown eyes guy.
Yeah.
Do you go back? I always go back. I make one and then I make one. I'm very happy with it, and I see how he looks in game, and then I think, oh no. And then I go back and I make another one.
The worst is when you have it great and then you go in the game and you see them from the side and their face is like perfectly sheer or whatever. And you're like, how did they do that?
Well, it's like with all the Souls games, you make your characters, but like I don't even give a fuck because I'm wearing a helmet the whole time. I'm not going to see my character's face like ever. But Dragon's Dogma, maybe I will. Because I know some people spend hours doing that shit, which is cool.
Yeah. I'm going to wait for someone to make Ryan Gosling and then just copy it.
Copy pasta that, yeah.
It looks crazy. Yeah, I'm looking through. I saw this Timothy Chalamet one on Twitter and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I think I saw one of some Devil May Cry characters.
Yeah, there was Nero. I think I saw Leon also.
Yeah,
Leon. I'll copy that.
Yeah, there's one that I'm looking at right now. It's Bully Maguire. So Tobey Maguire for Spider-Man 3, and I'm like, that's pretty. He's got like the long hair and everything. I was like, that's wild that you're able to do that.
That's pretty funny. All right, the next game on our list is Vampire Survivors. Chris, you playing?
Yeah, it's become kind of like a weekly tradition with me, and because that game has local co-op, and it's awesome. Specifically, the local co-op in it is specifically cool because it limits. Normally in Vampire Survivors, you have access to basically everything as you level up, but like if you're playing with other people, depending on the amount of people, it kind of limits you to a certain amount of items of certain types per person, basically. So if you have 4 people, you have like a much more limited kit versus if it's just 2 of you and you have a little bit more to share or to go around. But yeah, it's really an interesting game to play with friends. Because you're trying to kind of strategize, and it's like, okay, you get this, and then that'll evolve into that, and so you do that, and you can keep us kind of safe, and you can go on attack, and do we go luck, or do we go like what do we want for this? Would this help the team? Because I don't really need anything else. It kind of changes the game really, really drastically into a very, very different experience that I think is really, really satisfying. It's what a weird game to come out of nowhere and just be so good. Because I remember seeing videos of it and being like, this looks so fucking ugly and gross. There's no way this is good. And then I played it and I was like, oh, okay, I see. There's something here. I like that there's basically no controls to it. Like you just, you move around and every attack is on a timer. So you don't even have to necessarily you still have to time things, but you don't have to be preoccupied with being in charge of all the attacks. And I think it's like an interesting style of game that I don't know if I've necessarily played anything quite like that as far as I can remember. Like I don't think I've ever played a game where you don't attack, your character just does automatically, and it's on cycles. I'm sure there are other games like that, but not that I've played. So it's nice. It's a nice change of pace.
It's definitely the one that put that kind of game up on the map, I would say. Like, I didn't hear about any games like this until Vampire Survivors. So I wonder if there's like a small scene for these games or not. Yeah. But everything I've seen seems to have come after it.
Yeah. It seems like there must be others, yeah.
They're huge with Steam Deck people. There's one called Brotato. Your little potato.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
And then there's a zombie one called like Yet Another Zombie Game. But Vampire Survivors is like crack. I think it's the music. Like I don't know.
It is good.
That was my treadmill game for a while because it's on iPhone too, and it works really good because like you were talking about, it has no controls, so you just drag your thumb around, and it works vertical really well.
Yeah. Have you? So I know they added the co-op. Did you try any of the new expansion content outside of that? I know they've added some.
Oh, I don't know if we've explicitly. It's kind of hard because I'm a very turn my brain off kind of person with that game. Like I definitely like rely on the team to strategize and be like, listen, what do you want me to get? I'll get whatever you want me to get. I just want to move around and take care of some ads, and I'll do that. I'll handle it, and I'll pick this guy because he's really good at it. But so I don't know like what's new or what is. We have a habit of kind of going through the same maps over and over again because it's just like a chill kind of time. But we lasted, I think, like one time it was ridiculous, like 45 minutes or something.
Wow.
And it felt absurd to do it. But yeah, I don't even know if I was aware that there were even expansions to it.
They're like $1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've put any money into it. I probably should actually because it is just
like
a very
$5
good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I think they added new characters and stuff. What character did you like to play as, Chris?
Hold on, wait. There was I'm so bad at remembering the names of them, but there was one. Oh my God, Gennaro or whatever, the guy with the knives. Because I think he gets like double everything basically, and it's like such a good boon for the start, and then it just kind of exponentially like compounds to the point where you're just like you're basically machine gunning knives at a certain point. And it's just like this is so super fucking satisfying. But I think it was him, and I tried Porta a lot.
Okay.
And we had a friend who was on Poe duty. Where he had the he had the garlic and was making sure
yeah,
that we
the
had
garlic dude.
Yeah, we had like an
So
AoE
good.
that like kind of kept it. It's really fun to like mix and match these characters. Man, there's a lot of characters that I was not even fucking aware of, by the way. I'm looking at like
There's so many now.
damn. This game's a lot deeper than even I was.
I think there's like a story
Aware of.
expansion too. Like,
Yeah. I think
it's
there's
so
a lot.
weird.
Crazy.
Small little game, good for dopamine. Everyone
Yeah,
has a good
Chest
time playing.
music, like when you
Yeah.
get a chest.
Oh, the chest, dude. Yeah, it's like you're in fucking Vegas standing in front of a
Yeah.
slot.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Oh,
Super
it's so
satisfying.
good.
There's some interview with the guy who made it. It's really funny. He's like, I only did put things in the game that I like from other games that are fun, and anything that wasn't like that, I just didn't put in the game. He's like said he looked at gambling and slot machines or whatever as like
It's a good strat.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Like that's so awesome.
I looked at some of his sprites and I was like, oh, yeah, you really like Castlevania. You got like exact sprites from your game in there.
The like,
Just like,
hardcore
whatever.
version that everyone loves, I think it's called like 20 Minutes Till Dawn, and then it's
Mhm.
kind of that thing like where, you know, it like everyone whenever a game like this hits, they pick a different version that's like way more advanced, and it's like, no, I think you're kind of missing the point why this hit so good. It's because it's so damn simple. It's like you
Mhm.
just
Right,
get in,
yeah.
Yeah.
play it for a while, and get out. Like I don't need this to be like a whole upgrade tree, battle
Right.
pass.
Yeah.
That's
fucking thing.
exactly where I felt like Back 4 Blood failed spectacular. Is like
Yes.
you needlessly complicated what Left 4 Dead was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no one wants that. No one wants a more complicated
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead.
The
Yeah,
card
it's-
system, like
Yeah,
why?
that made no sense. It's
Card
insane.
systems, even just attachments to weapons. It's like that's not what I'm
Yeah.
here for, man. Like this is
No.
so stupid. This isn't
And not being
Battlefield.
able to remove them either was so
Yeah.
weird. They messed up all the fundamentals. Like
Yeah, it's insane.
I
that
could have
that
looked
game
past so much in that game.
It's insane that game was made by supposedly the same people because it wasn't
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rough. All right, cool. Vampire Survivors, sick game.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Stalker. The original Stalker, Locke.
The original, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the
tell me about
original
this.
Stalker.
Yeah.
Well, it dropped last week, like we talked about earlier, right? Like it dropped on console finally. There's 3 games. There's Shadow of Chernobyl, there's Clear Sky, and there's Call of Pripyat, right? So
Mhm.
3 games, but you have to start with the first one, which is Shadow of Chernobyl, which came out in 2007. I think on PC. It was a PC only game.
Mhm.
You have to start with that one. Well, you don't have to, of course. You can play the other ones too. But there's one storyline that kind of follows through. Not really, but it like lingers in the background. And like 2 and 3 spoil 1 if you play those first. So if you're interested, you really want to start with the first one. But it takes place, like the title says, in Chernobyl in 2012, I think. And you wake up in Chernobyl. You're a stalker. A stalker is somebody who trespasses like the radiation field around Chernobyl. And you wake up and you have amnesia. And the only thing you know is that you have to find a guy, you have to kill a guy named Strelok. That's all you know. So a lot of people, when they watch the gameplay of Stalker, or when they read about it, or they watch the video on the Xbox thing, they immediately thought, "Oh, this is Russian Fallout," right?
Mhm.
That's what a lot of people think, but it's not really, because Stalker has no RPG elements. It has no XP. You only get money and you get items for the quests that you do. It's also not really an open world. It's more like interconnected large areas. But if you leave one and you come back, it's repopulated. So it's not really like the game remembers what you did, like it does
Okay.
in Fallout. It's more maybe like Metro Exodus, if you've played
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that one, more archaic, of course. Like the quests are very archaic. They're all text-based. Like there's hardly any cutscenes. There's hardly any dialogue that gets spoken. Like you have a couple of main characters that speak, but most of it is through text. Little text dialogues, really. You get items, you get artifacts. Those are very important in the game. Artifacts are basically items that give you like high positives, but also negatives, so they balance each other out. Like, like for instance, you get one that increases your radiation resistance, but it lowers your endurance. So those are like very low RPG elements, I guess, but not really, because they're item based. They're not really character based. But the coolest thing about Stalker is the sound design, the weather, and the total immersion in that game. It's the game is almost 20 years old now, which is insane. I remember playing it, and there was nothing like it when it came out, and there still hardly is anything like it right now. I think maybe Half-Life 2, if you've played that a long time ago, it kind of reminds me of that, even though the Source engine is much more superior. But it's very hardcore. It's very... it's not like Doom, like you can't, or not like Fallout or any other game, really. You can't just go out and shoot people. Why not? Because there's a weight limit, first of all, so you can't pick up everything or everyone you kill. And the weapons are very inaccurate. They jam. The aiming doesn't really work on purpose. They did it on purpose. They wanted to make it as realistic as possible. So this isn't like Doom. You really got to plan out your shooting. For instance, if you come across somebody with a machine gun in the distance, you hear them shoot like at monsters, and you only have a pistol, there's no way you can kill them. Like you gotta circle around them because they have machine guns and you have a pistol. There's a sneak meter, so you don't really have to kill people. You can sneak around them, and the sneak meter kind of notifies you when they can see you. There's anomalies, which are really cool. There's these little glitches on the map, like these little blimps, and they like fry you, or they sprout you up in the air.
The ones that shoot you in the sky are so good.
Yeah, they're really cool.
You can't really see them a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got these bolts. You can throw these bolts. You have an unlimited amount of bolts.
Like little screws.
Yeah, and you can throw them into the anomalies to see what they do or if they're there. Because some of them are also a little bit positive, like they can get you to areas you don't normally could get to. But these anomalies also kill the NPCs, and that's another very important thing about Stalker, is that the AI is fantastic. The maps you're roaming on are basically filled with animals, anomalies, and bandits and soldiers. And they're all fighting against each other too. So you can come across bandits shooting dogs, or dogs getting lifted up in the sky by anomalies, which is really cool. I remember I bought it on console the other day. I played it on PC, of course, but I bought it on console so I could see if it works there as well, and it did. But when I played it on PC all those years ago, many, many years ago, I just followed like the basic storyline, and I didn't really venture off the path. But this time, because I knew what I was doing, I did. But something really weird happened. Like at the start, you get out of the little area where you're in, and you get given a quest to kill a boar. So I figured, okay, I'll just kill the boar. It's across the street. And when you cross the street, there's a bunch of soldiers standing there. And the soldiers started shooting at me. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So I circled all the way around them, killed the boar, and suddenly a message popped up. Like camp died or something, like camp deceased. And I came back to the starting camp where I got the quest and where you get all the starting quests. And those soldiers killed everyone in camp.
Oh.
Yeah. Like everyone was dead, which is amazing. Which is really awesome. So it's not like it's not like Skyrim or any other open world game where the game changes according to who dies or not. No, it's just you're done.
You're just locked out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to start over. But it's really hardcore. Of course, it gets easier as you go along. You get better weapons, you get better items and stuff. But it's really hardcore. Like when you start, you're gonna die a bunch of times. So they made a very good quick save thing on PS5. Like you just have to go in the menu once and then click it, and you're immediately back. So that's really well done. They also have a radio now, so it's easier to select your weapons. It works really well on console, really. I would definitely recommend it if you're interested in it. There's an auto aim, but you don't really need it because the auto aim doesn't work because the game doesn't work that way. So you can auto aim, but it's probably better if you just do it yourself because the game is so hardcore that it doesn't really register the auto aim. So yeah, I would say if you're interested in what could I compare to, Metro Exodus is the best comparison I can find. This could really be a fun game for you. But definitely start with the first one, because if you start at the second one and then the third one, like I said, the story ruins it, but also the mechanics are so far advanced in the sequels that you can't go back afterwards because the first one is really old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much more archaic. Okay.
Indeed. Yeah. But great game.
Sounds cool though. Like I like the idea of those guys just killing your camp because they saw you or something like that. That's really cool. I love that kind of stuff. Damn.
Yeah, I've always been curious about Stalker, so I think I definitely think I'll check it out.
Nice. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
That's
if you
like
play it on PC, there's
classic.
great mods for it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
of
complete
course.
mods. You ever mess
Yeah.
around with those?
Yeah.
There's like
Of course. Yeah.
this team of people like basically did full overhauls of all 3 games.
Yeah.
And they have like full installers with art and everything. So once you have it on Steam, you just go like Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl complete, and then you download this like 1 gigabyte file, and then it installs everything for you, and it like fixes a lot of the pathing and like bugs, and
Mhm.
you know, cleans up a lot of the graphics. And then I think it might bring some of the like better stuff from
Yeah.
Call of Pripyat back for you, which
Yeah.
kind of modernizes the whole trilogy. I played this game on my first PC, which was a MacBook Pro 15-inch that had a dedicated graphics card, and I did the like boot camp thing where you could get Windows 7, and it was such a cool game to play that way, like in the dark in my bed. I was like, had the blankets over, lights off,
Cool.
and yeah, just the controller support really gets me interested. So I'll probably pick that up on PS5 just to go back.
Yeah.
And like the lighting effects still hold up. Like the weather and the lighting. When I was playing it yesterday, I was like, damn, how is this game almost 20 years old? Like it still holds up. The shooting definitely doesn't, but the lighting definitely does. Yeah.
There's a game that developers who worked on Stalker made called Chernobylite, which is like a Metro style game where you have a base camp and then you go to different regions of Chernobyl, but they went in and photo scanned the entire real area. So it's like 1-to-1 creation with Chernobyl. And it feels, it's not as open and the AI is not as good, but it's got that like sort of like Russian Eurojank feel that you get out of
authentic
Stalker. Yeah. And it's really cool. It like you build out your little base, like you're bringing back supplies, and it has like similar to the Fallout 4 system, but way simpler. You can like design your little base camp, and you're in that really big sort of wall that's in all Chernobyl stuff. That's where your like little base is. So you can see the whole Chernobyl area from your base, which is cool.
That is sick. All right, we got to write in from Tom the Chosen One. Buongiorno, Schluminers. Hope you're all having a great day. With Stalker on the docket, I wonder if having a release of the original Shadow of Chernobyl and its expansions is the right call before the release of Stalker 2. The original games, while incredibly unique experiences that haven't been replicated, definitely have a level of Eurojank that might not be everyone's cup of tea and scare off potential players of Stalker 2. I personally don't mind a bit of the Eurojank in my games because many times it sort of adds to the experience. I know with Stalker, if it was more polished and less cheeky breeky, it wouldn't be as charming as it is. But what do you fellows think? Do you think it'll scare people off, or is it overblown concern? Thanks, fellows. Take it easy from Italy. What's cheeky breeky, dude?
It's a really good question. That's from CS:GO or from multiple games. I think that's just Russian slang, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think it is, at least. I'm not sure. Maybe. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
This looks very Russian with the first thing that popped up on my thing.
They say it. I think it's a voice line from CS:GO, but I could be wrong.
Damn, dude. Wish I could post
but that's a really good question. That's a very very valid question too. I think that's definitely a concern. But again, that's because they didn't market it. So if they did that, then there would be no concern. But they didn't do that. So I also don't know how Stalker 2 is going to turn out. Like,
that's going to have Eurojank too, right? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They made that from like an active war zone.
Yeah.
So I don't think that game's going to come out and be like this polished dream game, right? Like, you kind of got to know what you're getting.
But that's also part of the charm, maybe. Like he said, it's very true that Eurojank is like it belongs in these games. Like it's part of it. It gives it its soul, really. So
yeah,
I wouldn't like the AI in this game is amazing, but it's also that's where the Eurojank really kicks in. Like yesterday, there was this guy with a shotgun literally standing around the corner, and he kept shooting at me through the corner. But of course, he couldn't hit me because I was around the corner. And then he turned his head anyway, so I could shoot his head off. So there's a lot of these situations where it's like it of course it's not the perfect AI like in a AAA game, but that's the charm of it. You can like abuse it a little, which is fun.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. This is from Patches. Hey, SS Crew. I'm not saying that other part.
Yeah.
Stand down. I'm pumped to
Little
see
egregious.
Stalker on the docket. I have to say, this is easily my favorite Eurojank game. One of my favorite video game moments ever was in Shadow of Chernobyl when I saw a rabid dog walk into this tornado-looking anomalies. It got sucked in and floated up, and as it reached the top, it exploded viciously in numerous pieces. It all happened organically, too. What a moment. I can't wait for the sequel later this year. Cheers.
Yeah, that speaks to me. I like dynamic, like any game that has like dynamic systems that intersect with each other and just wreak havoc.
Yeah.
That's a solid basis for me. I
You can like
that.
kite guys into it too, which is awesome. So like if
Yeah.
a guy's chasing you, he's got a machine gun, you can just like loop around if you
He's
see an
got
anomaly.
he's got such a
Yeah.
bloodlust that he just completely
Yeah.
doesn't see the tornado.
And the voices are so funny. They like
Yeah, they're
they
awesome.
react really well. It's so goofy.
All right. We're going to move on to a segment that we recorded earlier. Actually, we didn't record earlier. We did earlier, but we didn't record it. So I re-edited it. Don't look at the rundown, everybody. Do not look.
Oh. Are the answers there?
Yes. Everything is
okay.
there.
I didn't see it. I just saw
Oh, but
Okay.
did you make like new questions?
I
Like,
did.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
new
okay,
choices. They're
I can
not the
embarrass
same.
myself again.
They're
All
not
right.
the same. We'll see who does the best this time. Last time it was Chris. Hopefully we can get that on the podcast in some audio only format or something. Anyways, here we go. Anime ambush time. Because Locke and Chris here, they love anime. So we're going to quiz them right now. Okay, now you're going to have to tell me these characters. Are they from this series or not? Or, sorry, I'm going to leave you 3 guesses, 3 questions, and you tell me who is from the series. Okay? Who is a real character? This is from Naruto. Jiraiya. Kenta Yagami. Bao Cho.
Jiraiya is from Naruto.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say what Chris said because he was right the most last time. So Jiraiya.
But number 2. Is that
Okay.
something else?
What? No. It's
then-
Jiraiya. It's
Yes.
Jiraiya. Yagami is a last name that's used in other stuff, but Kenta Yagami
Yeah, that
is
sounded
just some
familiar.
random. So Chris and Jimmy get a point.
Yes. Hey. Yes.
Thank you,
All right.
Chris.
One Piece time.
Oh man, I don't know anything about this.
A. Firebeard. B. Shanks. C. Red Tiger.
Oh my fucking god. Shanks.
Okay,
Firebeard. That's pirate themed.
that's true.
I know One Piece is pirates.
It is.
The third option that's still open.
Red Tiger?
Yep.
So you guys want to go with? So Chris, Shanks, Lock, Jimmy, Fire Tiger, or Red Tiger. It's Shanks. Chris is right again.
Oh my god. That was a
Ooh.
guess.
Should have just gone with Chris.
Ooh. Well, do you really want to win this? Do you?
No.
He's winning. He's begrudgingly winning.
Oh man. I thought Firebeard was for sure it, but like I also thought like it wouldn't be the first one again.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Smart.
Well, the first one, yeah, smart boy. All right, last question. Jujutsu Kaisen. Satoru Goji. Rufus Oda. Hana Sakura.
I'll go with the first one.
Okay.
I'm going Sakura.
Okay.
Which one is open? 3, 2, 2 or 3?
2.
Don't pick that
Oh.
one.
I'm not gonna pick that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick the other one, the one that Chris didn't pick.
So the one that
that
Jimmy picked?
Yep.
Okay, so Hana's
Jimmy-
okay. Well, guess what? Chris got this one right also.
Are you
Oh.
fucking
Yes.
kidding me?
Yes. Satoru Goji.
I knew Oda was in it
Is-
because that's the guy who made One Piece, right?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
That's
oh my
right.
God.
Well,
Chris,
well.
you
so
are
horrible.
definitively the anime expert,
Well,
at least
I'm
compared
sorry.
to
I'm
And
glad I
Jimmy.
earned it.
Well done. Yeah, twice in a row. Damn.
Damn,
We
dude,
should go a
those,
third time.
I know those weeb instincts are kicking in.
God damn it. It's so upsetting.
What is Sakura from? I know that's a thing.
That's Naruto.
There's a girl
Oh.
named yeah.
Mm,
All right, boys. Let's just end the show now with some questions. Let me write this real quick. Then, okay. All right, we got a few questions. This is from Mark M. Hey, Summon 41. I'm currently playing and loving Rebirth. I'm a Final Fantasy VII convert, starting with Remake in 2020 and completing OG7 last year. Now, with that context, I'm only more impressed at how Remake and Rebirth are able to feel new and old, somehow faithful to a decades-old game, but also like a new modern game telling its own story. My question is, do you think we'll see more remakes like this in the future? Or will creators and fans lean more towards remakes like Persona 3 Reload, Resident Evil 4, or Dead Space? Something definitely new, but much closer to the original and safer overall. Is there anything you would like to see remade with the ambition of FF7 or RE2 remake?
Oh man, that's a good question. I do think though that few games necessitate the degree of retooling or the degree of remake that Final Fantasy VII requires, just because it's so old and the style of it is so particular, and there are certain games that I think, like Dead Space and Resident Evil, that like just require less under the hood work to be brought up to a modern standard or what people expect from like a modern AAA standard. So
much newer games.
Yeah. So like I don't know what older games would even, like, I would imagine just older JRPGs. I would imagine like other Final Fantasies or even maybe some early
CRPGs too.
Yeah.
CRPGs like Baldur's Gate and stuff.
Yeah, but even I guess so. Yeah, like just to flesh them out. But like even Baldur's Gate, like from a gameplay perspective, looks more like the original Final Fantasy VII than it does Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know what I mean? Like it's the style of it is so interesting, and the way that they've retooled it. I think most games just don't need the level of re-examining that Final Fantasy VII does, and so because of that, we're going to get more like Dead Space and Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, because like, especially like Final Fantasy VII, you have humongous like towns and stuff like that you have to make feel bigger than ever before. You know, Resident Evil 4, it's just like you're in the village, like some stuff's bigger, you're in the castle, but it's not as many crazy locations you got to mess with.
Yeah,
and it's not nearly as big of a game.
Although Resident Evil 2 is a very different, like that was
it's quite different.
I would argue that that's like more on the same level, although just less. There's just less going on just by nature of the type of game it is. But like when you compare those two games, it's Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 2 Remake is fucking like night and day as far as like what kind of game it is. So I think we'll see them depending.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of survival horror games that I'd love to see get remakes. I don't think it'll really happen. I think Silent Hill 2 is gonna screw some things up in this great run of survival horror remakes we've gotten. Now we're kind of getting to the chaff a little bit with like Alone in the Dark and Silent Hill 2. Like, not to like shit on those games because I'm
but they're not gonna be the level like of a
kind of running out. I'd love to see Code Veronica. I know.
I think
they're probably not. I don't know because there's like a reverence for 2 and 3, right? Like that's a safe bet. I don't want to see overconfidence in it, and I feel like Code Veronica, for as many fans as it has now, was never really that big,
No.
But I think it would work really well with a remake. I'd like to see the Resident Evil Outbreak games get remade and sort of modernized because the core idea there was really good, just like ahead of its time. But yeah, I think Dead Space kind of did it right in the way where they didn't really meaningfully change a lot of like how the game shakes out, but they did make the ship itself one connected map instead of multiple levels connected by the tram. Like they did a good job reorienting things to make it feel like it was all one big actual ship.
Yeah.
There's a lot of more like newer games that I'd like to see get a second chance. Like The Evil Within, I think you could do a really cool remake of that, kind of smooth it out.
Sure.
Make it more like 2, because 2 is such a big step up over the original. Yeah, I know. I always think about this from the horror perspective.
Yeah.
The Witcher is getting a remake where they have to
Yeah.
change a couple of things because
That'll be interesting.
the original Witcher was awesome. It's one of my favorite games, but it's also very misogynistic. So I totally assume they're gonna change a couple of
weirdly
things.
linear, right? Like,
yeah, in terms of absolutely, yeah.
the combat's kind of messed up.
It's
They gotta do a
amazing
lot on
though.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, the mouse clicking combat. I remember that. Yeah.
I got that game for like $5
Mhm.
physically on disc at GameStop, and I played through it in like a month, and I really liked it. But yeah,
it's amazing.
playing 2 after that, you're like, holy crap, this is like a
I hope
really
they do.
different thing.
I hope they do the same with 2, because 2 is unplayable, or at least to me, it's unplayable now. I played it on Xbox like a year ago. It's just it doesn't control right. Like you can't really.
Mhm.
Geralt feels weird.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more Final Fantasy games, because that's
I'm
a
sure
big
they
blind
will.
spot for me, but I love the stories, and the combat that they put into 7 Remake kind of was the only reason I could play it. I just like, I don't love turn-based JRPG style stuff. So having that sort of like entry point really helped.
Yeah. Something I want remade is Parasite Eve. So Parasite Eve
Cool, yeah.
is like a survival horror with like RPG kind of mechanics and fights. Like you get into fights and you're like picking certain body parts and stuff like that. I imagine like Resident Evil kind of over the shoulder, but when you get into combat, you can kind of like select parts of them to shoot fire at them or something like that. I think that'd be really fun, especially with
The
survival
one on
horror being so
PSP
big.
was so good. The Third Birthday or whatever. That one was cool.
I think that'd be a really good game for them to revisit.
That's a great pick.
All right, let's see. This is from Brady GoSkill. Hey, Brad. I appreciate the conversation from last week, and I was wondering if there might be a sort of format for game discussions to make that, or makes it more uniform, i.e. what makes this game special? What mistakes does this game avoid? What does the game do or others do that are better? Still loving, keep it up, sort it out, of course. Cheers. So, Brady, I don't really want to like make this too much of like a list we're going through or like points we have to hit. The whole thing is I just kind of want this just to be a conversation that we're having about the games. We could bring up all those elements just naturally through the conversation, but I don't want it to be like, okay, now hold up, Chris, this section what do you not like about the game? Something like that. I don't want to have to do that for every single thing. That can feel like kind of like a review, which is fine, but to me, I just want us just chatting about the games. But maybe I can try to throw in some questions like that every now and then to satisfy you. But yeah, I don't want it to be a format ever.
I feel like those things will come up organically anyway if we're talking about games.
But thank you for the question. Jared R. wrote in, hey, Summon Crew. One of the most recent episodes of Sacred Symbols, there was a question about potential crossover games. It was mentioned most were fighting games, which does make sense. But I wanted to pitch a few non-fighting games to you all. Tell me which one of these you'd actually like to see made / stands the best chance of being made. We got Helldivers, ODST, Call of Duty Zombies, Resident Evil, Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Hitman, The Fisher Files, Ratchet, and Daxter.
Man.
I mean, Helldivers ODST would be amazing, wouldn't it?
That would be. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sure they pitched that type of game to that studio multiple times, and they just fucking completely ignored it. What a man! The craziest fumble. I don't understand how you don't understand the potential of your own IP like that, but because Helldivers is so Halo coded, it's insane. But yeah, like I think that would be awesome. Does it have a likelihood of being made? No, because they just refuse. I could see like a Mario Kart racing kind of collab, especially
Diddy Kong?
I don't know about Diddy Kong, because Diddy Kong racing is not. I mean, to us that's important, but like that has no brand recognition or like
To
name
most
recognition
people, yeah.
to most human
Mhm.
beings.
Mhm.
So I could see that maybe, but I don't know. At this point, any crossover is like on the table
Mhm.
because we're just in this culture now of crossovers. Like nothing surprises me anymore. I saw Dave the Divers doing a thing with Godzilla, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is
I
where
like
we're
the way
at.
Godzilla looks in that. I thought it was gonna be dumb, and then he's just like this little chibi Godzilla. I was like,
Yeah,
I like that
Yeah.
guy. I would do zombies Resident Evil because you can unlock a horde mode in Resident Evil 2 Remake where he plays the cop from the beginning.
yeah.
Right.
in the
Yeah.
gas station, and it's actually very fun. So Capcom keeps trying these like weird multiplayer games like Resistance and Reverse. It's like
Stupid.
right there for you. Just do like a
Yeah.
horde mode 4-player thing. Be so simple.
Yeah. Mercenary mode is kind of like that already.
Yeah, I love 4 remakes.
But yeah,
Mercenaries.
if you could have like more co-op in it, I guess it could be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
I really want Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. I mean,
that'd be
two
sweet.
incredible action game characters teaming up would be awesome. And I know there's a big demand for it, so hopefully one day. But yeah, Hitman Hitman like with Sam Fisher is really weird to me.
Yeah, that doesn't really. I would
It'd be Metal Gear, right?
Yeah, I would prefer Metal Gear,
Yeah,
if
Metal Gear.
anything, because they're. But even that's like that's completely off the table, just
Yeah.
based on how Konami operates.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean I love both Hitman and Splinter Cell,
Mhm.
a great deal. But yeah, I don't know. That one doesn't speak to me.
Just do Castlevania and Bloodborne. There you go.
Yeah, obvious one.
Call it a day.
Mhm.
All right, last question from Zeke the Plumber. 4 Horsemen of the Summon-ocalypse. Kind of random question for y'all. What's your heat check like for Dragon's Dogma 2? Everything about this game looks fucking phenomenal to me. With the one exception being the performance. IGN observed on PS5 averaged 31 FPS with frequent drops to lower 20s. What say you handsome devils? I say I'm waiting to see how that PC port is.
Yeah.
I already bought it on PC, so I'm getting it on PC. But I'm
Alright.
definitely also getting it on PS5, so it doesn't matter.
We always buy it on 2 things, man, every
because
time.
I'm an
You
idiot.
can refund
yeah.
it on one.
Yeah.
That's
This is
true,
my
yeah.
most anticipated game of the year by far. So I will be playing it regardless. I'm just
Yes.
crossing my fingers that the PC port is good because that's why I'm
Yeah.
buying it.
Yeah. If it's like a trash fire on PC, I'm still gonna play it on consoles. Like I'm not playing the game. I just hope
You
it
have
runs
to-
good.
You have to play it on PC, so we can use your pawn, and you can use our pawns.
I know, yeah. I would
Yeah.
want to play it on PC, unless the PC like version like sets your computer on fire or something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then probably not. But I think it's gonna be PC.
Yeah, it's a shame that that's even something that we have to worry about. But I do think my gut check is that it's going to be a good game that people are going to be like, wait, wait until the PC version's fixed, or until the
Yeah.
PS5 Pro comes out or whatever, and then you have like a way to get like a little bit of a boost to those extra frames that you might need on console. I think I don't know, man. This might be a game that I wait for. Like I
Sure.
might just wait until everything's ironed out, or until there's like a machine that's strong enough to play it on, or whatever. Like hopefully we won't have to. Hopefully the PC port will be solid, but you never know with these things.
As long as it
Never
doesn't
know.
stutter, I can deal with like
yeah.
running it at 40 FPS or whatever.
Yeah.
But like stuttering kills me in games.
It's inconsistent
now.
frame rates out of the worst.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
What's the resolution on Is it 4K on console?
I don't know. I want to say I thought it was.
Because if it's 4K 30 FPS, then on PC it's very possible that you can run it without any issues in like 1080 or 14.
Yeah, like I play on a
40.
1440p monitor,
Yeah, me
so
too.
hopefully
Me too.
it'll be good. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is.
At least I hope so.
PC.
I wouldn't
I'm
be
pretty
mad
sure
if I had
it's-
to wait
yeah.
because I'm starting Rebirth tonight. So I'm going to beat that first regardless.
Yeah,
Mm.
long game, dude. Yeah, it's a long game,
Excited.
but yeah. Anyways, we're all very excited for Dragon's Dogma 2, though. It's gonna be fucking sick.
Yeah.
Can't wait to stab a Cyclops in the eye again. It's gonna be good.
Killing a griffin.
Killing a
The
griffin.
biggest high
Classic.
I've gotten out of a game in so long.
Yeah, it's so good, man. There's gonna be some stupid NPCs just like the first game. It's gonna have that. It's like its own Euro jank essentially.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma. All right, boys, that's it. We're done. Another episode in the books. Thank you for being here with Chris, Locke,
Of course.
and of course Jimmy. Special guest Jimmy. Thanks for finally popping on. It's good to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. This was really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had a good time. Good episode. Any final thoughts from any of you before we head out? Or should we just get the hell out of here?
Let's get the hell
I
out
got
of here.
Let's get the hell out of here. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week. Take care and goodbye. Summon Sign is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and hosted by me, Brad Ellis. The show is produced by Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Summon Sign, along with the rest of Last Stand's media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we are grateful for your kind contribution and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.